Hello, welcome to the show. I'm your host, Johnny Baghead, as always. Welcome to a Baghead summer. And this has been a long time coming. This this plan, if this feels like it came out of nowhere, but I ban out. No, not ban out. I ban on about the PlayStation 2 quite a lot, right? However, hang on a second. But truth be told, I like all the systems from this generation. There we go. Ooh. Kind of hard the seams here. My apologies. But yes, I talk about the PlayStation 2. We have the long ongoing project to rank tier list a lot notable PlayStation 2 games and big ones I missed. But if I'm being totally honest, the Sith generation is my favorite console generation, and not just because it's one of the generations I grew up with. Technically, I grew up with, I guess, quite a lot actually, because I did some cursory gaming and watching my older sisters play gaming in the Super Nintendo Mega Drive era. My first console was a PlayStation 1. Also played some Nintendo 64. The PlayStation 2 was the big one, but again played the other systems, and even the PlayStation 3 360 is still like pre-teen into teen years, so that's a lot of generations to cover. But ultimately, this one is always my favorite, just in terms of, money was coming into the industry, but just enough that it wasn't like incredibly cynical as it would come to be in years. You could still be experimental. Money would get put into very strange games. Things were advancing at such a rapid pace, but so much got standardized. So many neat ideas, when I feel like hardware limitations were like just in the right place, that you could do really interesting things, but still see like the technology improving what people could do with the tech. And some of my favorite games are on the other systems of the generation, the original Xbox, the GameCube, even if they were not the massive, like long-lasting international blockbusters the PlayStation 2 were. They still were decently selling systems, and even where they had their issues, they did have some amazing games. And honestly, I've wanted to play some of those games through on the stream, do playthroughs of, and this is a good excuse as anything else to start to get into that. Also, I don't want to get stuck into covering just one brand. Obviously, with the PlayStation 2, its library is so massive, over 4,000 games. I don't plan on playing all of them. I know some friends of the show, some console challengers like PS2 or Die or Kuss are doing that, and Godspeed to them. I could never, because there are some horrendously long, grindy, repetitive stuff in there. I always joke that my challenge, my console challenge, it's my own one, but with blackjack and Goth GFs, and I just pick which games I want, and it's amazing. Actually, not even the blackjack. But yeah, let's I think we'll get into this. Now, I did mention this in the announcement. If we get time, I would like to start a playthrough. I want to do Super Mario Sunshine, mainly, and we'll talk about it more, but mainly because I've played a lot of that game. I've never actually been in it. But it's a summer, it's a high profile game, but we'll see, because even though, so I'll explain, these tier lists are going to be primarily console generation exclusives, which means that games that exclusively came out on this system in this generation for console. So if there was a PC version That's separate. If it got re-released on the next generations after that. 1 second. Oh, come here. Hello. Here's my dog Lola. She's dealing with some issues right now. Some toilet issues. Aren't you, girl? It's okay. It's okay. Here, do you want to sit with me? Is that the issue? If I do have to take an extended BRB break because of it, I will let you know. But here, I'll put her on my lap for now. But yeah, so these will be games that came out exclusively for, like, exclusive to this console generation, with some exceptions. When we've done the PlayStation 2 tier list, we have covered some games that had multi-platform releases, but you should play those other releases. The prime examples will be Max Payne 1 and 2, the PlayStation 2 versions run, and that's about the best thing I can say about them, because they run so poorly and they compromise so much that I legit, outside of the Curio, you should not play those versions. So we'll cover some of those as well, but I am going to look at all the exclusives. Obviously they're not all going to get tiered, but we'll discuss them. For some, I might even bring up some video reference if we want to talk about it a bit more, and we'll talk about, you know, the potential to play them in the future and things like that. So let me get into it here. Hang on a second. Yep, that's there. We're going to put some music on here. Ironically enough, it's going to be PlayStation music. But that's fine. Here we go. Let me know, by the way, if anyone knows, if audio's a bit too loud or quiet in either way. You know, if the game, or sorry, the music or my microphone, if that needs adjusting, just let me know. We'll give that a little adjustment. But yes, we're going to start... Nope, not there. Here we go. We're going to start with Xbox games. Now, as you can see, I don't have too many to tier here. Because, again, there's a lot of games I've played but never beaten. Right? And that's kind of the point of these console challenges, is to go back, experience these, you know, systems as they were. Go back and revisit. If you're ever feeling dire about where the mainstream video games currently are, just go back to these systems. You can own the discs. They are relatively cheap for so many of the games of this era, right? So you've got that going for it. Some of the games hold up so well. You know, so many of the standards and conventions of gaming were solidified in these generations. And also, you know, there was more experimentation. You know, games weren't such huge investments that you had to play it safe because you were guaranteeing for a certain audience. You know, back then, like, a couple million copies was amazing. A game selling, like, over 1 million was a tremendous success. You know, it's still obviously good if you could do that, but, you know, the likes of a Sony, Microsoft, they are looking for multi-million, you know, these days. It's a very, very different market. But we're going to go through the tier list. Well, we're going to go through games, and then when I see one that we're actually going to tier, we'll get to that. And if I have too much to say, we'll look past it. But like I said, we might look up some gameplay footage of some of them here and there. And yes, also feel free to chime in. Obviously, I'm not going to tier based on what people say, but I would love to hear what people think, because it might influence, you know, oh, this is a game I want to play. Also, sorry, there is something I forgot to do, actually. I had to go to this screen for it. Sorry, Lola, you go there for a second. I don't want to bonk you. Here's the Xbox. Excuse the hull. It's not real. I swear. but I wanted to show it for reference because I wanted to talk about the system. So, in terms of this generation, I know the Dreamcast counts, but I kind of don't count it because it's more, you know, despite the fact that it was supposed to be an early, like, get ahead of the game 6th generation system, to me it counts more as like competition with the PlayStation 1, which I think is a big reason why it failed, right? But the PlayStation came out first. You know, it was the cheapest, lowest spec, but like good all-rounder. Though it came out so early, like some of its features, for example, its online capability, didn't even come out for quite a while until some months afterwards. The Xbox, however, you know, it's a massive system because the whole thing with this was it was a powerhouse, right? It was Microsoft's first foray into the console market after Sega had bowed out. It was a very risky thing at the time. And we'll look at sort of shiny reflective. It's an interesting looking system. It's definitely halfway between like what a DVD player is, but like a very gamified take on it. And as you can see, there's the big X embedded in the system. Honestly, I wish they kind of kept going with this vibe. Like 360 onwards, I wouldn't say they're bad. No, the Xbox One design is bad, but most of their systems are very like whatever afterwards. But half the reason this is such a big system, obviously there's the capabilities of it, but it's got the 4 controller ports that Sony missed out on. You know, and considering that split screen local gaming was still quite a big deal at this point, that is kind of a notable absence. Obviously it didn't hurt Sony in the long run, but a noticeable absence. But also, this console has a built-in hard drive. Fun fact, I think the hard drive on my system something's wrong with it. This is broken, actually. So even though we're going to do this tier list, I need to get this console fixed and some improvements made so we can start doing playthroughs. If you do want to help with that, by the way, I have a donation link on my Twitch profile if you just scroll down there. And yeah, any money put into that will go into stream equipment, things like that. And I'll commit here now that it will help cover the cost of getting this repaired and modded. But yes, yeah, so you had the hard drive. You also had the built-in network adapter, which this was the only system of this generation that had that. You know what? I might have to very quickly go BRB before we get into it, but we'll start tiering games. Let me go over here, but we're gonna BRB. Just give me 5 minutes. Shotgun still. Oh, what the fuck happened to his head? Oh, that was weird. He got all bendy. I think the better button. What the fuck? What have I done? Okay, sorry about that. I think Lola is going to have to be on my lap the whole time, which is fine. I might have to grab something so she can settle down, though, so she doesn't fall off. Hang on, does this help, Lola, if I give you a little blanket? I'm kind of surprised, Lola. It's not as hot as it's been. It's still definitely a summer, though. But, here, let's try this, shall we? Oh, come on. Lola is a rescue pet, by the way. That seems to be that happens with every... Nearly all of our pets have been rescues. We've either found them abandoned ourselves, or we've taken them from families or shelters that can't care for them anymore. And all her history and info is completely fucked up. They have, like, what past vets had her down as was wrong. Like, who was down as the owner, the breed, the name. It was all incorrect. Like, look at her. She is a very small dog. I think they had her down as a dog that's like 3 times the size, the breed. And, you know, some people telling her the age seems to be all wrong. Like, when we took her in, we were told she was very old. And we've been looking after her for over 4 years. So she can't be... she can't be that bad. But, yeah, she has been having some toilet issues recently. But it's okay. We'll keep care of her. Okay, let me get the music back on. Here we go. So yeah, we're gonna bring up games, and then when I do have I can tier it, we'll tier it. But I think we've got about 200 Xbox games to look at. We'll try not to stick on one for too long, because otherwise the stream's gonna go very long. But let's get started here. Obviously, so Advent Rising. Funny enough, this is not the box art that has the $1 million contest on it that got cancelled before the game released. But this is quite an infamous one because it had such a huge marketing campaign behind it. It was supposed to be this massive multimedia epic, you know, trilogy. You know, scale of the game was supposed to be massive. And as mentioned, one of the marketing things they claimed was it was going to have a PR contest where someone could win $1 million. That ended up getting cancelled, but not so late that a lot of the releases had a sticker on that still mentioned it. Funny enough, when I looked this up, it actually reviewed okay. Like, it didn't, you know, knock anyone's socks off, but despite its kind of reputation, it seemed to review around like 7, 8 out of 10. But I am curious to look at this. There's a chance this might actually be a bad Game Hall of Fame playthrough. Mainly so we can cover the history. Sometimes with some of these games, by the way, they'll either have been covered or will be covered on the Bad Game Hall of Fame. You know, where I co-host. So check them out there. Ah, okay. Air Force Delta. So the Air Force series is basically Konami's Ace Combat. And from my understanding, there's 3 of them. And for some reason, this second one is an Xbox exclusive. But I haven't heard amazing things. I forget the name of it. There's a channel I watch that does a lot of Ace Combat and Ace Combat adjacent video reviews. And yeah, I don't think they had anything amazing to say about this. The one I'm really interested in is the PlayStation 2 one, which goes really more anime and wacky with it. They end up, like some of the later levels, you're doing stuff in space with jets modified for zero gravity. It's fascinating stuff. I actually don't know how many flight games there are on Xbox. I know Crimson Skies is a famous one. We'll get to that later. But I'd be curious if there is an original Xbox flight stick. I will say, we'll quickly show it as well. The Xbox controller. This is not the original Duke, I should mention. I should get a Duke at some point. This is the S, which I think was first made for the Japanese release. Because a huge complaint about the Duke is it's massive. And yes, it is. Like, this seems like quite a big controller when you compare it to a PlayStation 2 or GameCube controller. The Duke is so much bigger than this, but the Duke is a fascinating controller. Obviously, there's the massive Xbox logo in the middle that you think is a button and doesn't do anything. Funny enough, the 360 version, sorry, just hit the mic, does. But, you know, they do the unaligned analog stick thing. I will say, I've been talking about this with people recently, I actually do prefer when the analog sticks are level. But a decent D-pad. I think the Duke D-pad is way worse. But the, you know, black-white buttons is the big one. I will say on the Duke, they do kind of interestingly work for fighting games because the white and black buttons are above here. So you kind of get a 6-button layout controller. We'll talk about this as well. Also, we get expansion ports. And this is part of it. The original Xbox inherits a lot of stuff from Sega. you know, six face buttons is very Sega Saturn, and also, you know, the Mega Drive had 6-button controllers in games. Though, fun fact, this controller, like the PlayStation 2 DualShock, has pressure-sensitive analog buttons. I don't believe the D-pad does, but I could be wrong about it. But all the face buttons, black and white included, maybe not start and select, but these are all pressure-sensitive. The amount of games that use these, however, is tiny. It was already kind of rare on PlayStation 2 outside of racing games, and this console had analog triggers, which most of the racing games used. So I think, outside of Silent Hill 2's not so good Xbox port, and Metal Gear Solid 2's not so good Xbox port, there aren't many games that use the pressure sensitive stuff. But yeah, it's funny, it's even got the expansion port carryover from the Dreamcast. This is where you could put a memory card and the voice chat headset into, which is very forward thinking when you think about where controllers have come. Like that, they all have, you know, aux port on them, kind of thing. But yeah, so yeah, we'll maybe look into this one. Okay, this is a Xbox Live Arcade game. I always forget that Xbox Live Arcade did start on the original Xbox. Obviously, there are many systems before that did very rudimentary versions of downloadable games. The SegaNet, for example. But I would be curious how easy it is to get Xbox Live Arcade games onto an original Xbox now. But I didn't have too... I decided not to put too many of them in here. But we'll look at them. This is one I don't know about. You know what? I think I will look up some footage of this one. This is... Oh, American McGee, Scrapland. This is his other series besides Alice. Also, I love that name. It feels like it's fake, but it's not. Yeah, here we go. We'll pick this long play from Global Gaming. Let me get to some gameplay. And we'll have a look. Yeah, let me full screen. There we go. It's going to be a bit cut off just because of the way this is set up, but this is just for reference. Okay, so do you know what vibe I'm getting from this? It looks rough though. Holy shit. Like, it's doing some impressive stuff with some of the physics and animations, but that walk-in and the camera... I'm guessing this had a PC release. This is probably from the PC release we're looking at here. But this feels very Jak 2. It's kind of funny that, you know, the other systems were kind of trying to, you know, chase that success. There seems to be a lot of flying space, like, there's an open map bit that looks very Jak 2. I'm actually trying to figure out if there is on-foot combat. But yeah, I've really legit not really heard about this one. Oh wow, this almost looks like Banjo Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, but not really. But I guess there's some amount of vehicle customization as well. Yeah, the more I look at this, the more I think the primary gameplay is flying, and the on-foot stuff is more adventure game, open world. So interesting. But yeah. I'd be curious. I don't think this was that well received, but I would be really curious about this one when we get to it one day. Oh, of course. There's surprisingly quite a long history of, you know, let's be real, propaganda, recruitment, propaganda, US Army sanctioned, sponsored video games. Even the SOCOM series is is kind of somewhat officially partnered, just not in quite the same sense of these. Don't hear great things about these ones. You might see them on the Bad Game Hall of Fame, actually. Not sure what to say, but it's funny that there's an entire bowling game. Ah, here we go. Amped 2. I will look up some footage of Amped 2. Let's try find a decent video here. So, Amped 3 is a launch title for the 360 that was long forgotten for a while. That is kind of amazing. It's kind of a Simcade style snowboarding game. It's definitely not as wacky in the gameplay as SSX in terms of gravity defying stuff. But Amped 3 kind of, like, I know it doesn't entirely predate Adult Swim, but it is very late 2000s Adult Swim coded. Just multimedia, throw everything, cutscene presentation, weird objectives, open mountains as well. I don't know if that's quite the case here. Amped on original Xbox is it's very different. It's very tame in comparison. But I loved Amped 3. I'm not going to lie. Some of its cutscene stuff does not age very well. They definitely play it a bit too edgy and irreverent at times. But I can at least forgive it because it is a literally 20-year-old game. But I am curious to see how this one holds up. Also, it seems to have a very different control scheme. I don't remember using the right stick in Amped 3. Maybe that's an option. But, you know, it's interesting to look back at this time when extreme sports was a huge mainstay genre at the time, and other games were competing with Tony Hawk's and the like. And snowboarding games were also way more prevalent in this era than they were afterwards, which is a shame. I like a good snowboarding game. But, it'd be fun to look at that. Also, yeah, welcome to stream, Lola. Yes, this is my Baghead with hair. Unfortunately, main Johnny Baghead 1.0 needs some maintenance, and I'm not sure. It's every time I've tried to fix it, it's broken again, so I might have to rebuild that one. I'm going to give it one more go. But this is also nice because I don't have my puppetry stuff, and it's nice for the summer. Something I like to do, by the way, if it's really hot, is I'll play snowboarding games because it kind of, I don't know, placebo effect. It distracts me enough. And it first Amped as well. I don't know why. I'm going off alphabetical order for the folder, so I don't know why they tiered that way. Also, this is something I think might be my favorite aspect about the original Xbox. The original Xbox bombed incredibly in Japan, but it was not for lack of trying. They really pursued getting established Japanese developers to make exclusives. Some of them are even exclusive to Japan, and this is one of them. I don't think there's a lot known about each of these. In fact, give me a second here. I'm going to see if I can look up what the name of this one is, because I don't remember it. Oh, jeez, Lola. Lola just wants to be pet all the time. She's a cheeky girl. I think when she's not feeling great, she wants to be pet along. I don't blame her. What is this? This is Owl. Hold on, let me go to bigger icon so I can read this better. This is Owl Namida Shokaiban. No idea. You know, I should probably look it up. Let me get the name again. But there's even a couple of these Japanese-only Xbox exclusives that have never been translated. Wow. Nice 40-second video. Yeah, we're not going to look at that. Wow, there is shockingly little footage of this game. Pretty much just one playthrough by a YouTube channel called Big Tell Not Small, who I believe is a console runner. So let me get their video up and we'll have a look at some footage. Lola, I can't pet you the whole time. Yeah, I've only got so many hands. But yeah, I'm pretty sure untranslated. Might even just straight up be a visual novel from the looks of it. Yeah. Oh yeah, this is a visual novel. Straight up. So, even though I do want to... Oh, here we go. Even though I do want to cover a lot of Xbox original exclusives, even the Japanese ones, probably not going to look at this one. But a good thing... This is a good point to talk about it. That yes, Microsoft did really try to get Japan onto it. But legitimately... And, you know, this, fun enough, this came up when we did the history section for Mighty Number 9 in the Big 4 Gamer interview with Keiji Inafune when he left Capcom, is he talked about how disappointed he was that the Japanese gaming market basically rejected the Xbox because it was a Japanese system. It was a Japanese system, it was an American system. Which there is probably some truth to that, and I would like to know why they were just not on board, even if it got Japanese-developed games. And legit, some of the best games from the generation are Japanese-developed Xbox exclusives. But we've got other Japanese-exclusive Xbox games to cover. This one I do not know, so I am going to look up footage. And no, I did not search Apex Legends, did I, YouTube? Sure, we'll look at Camp Xbox. Camp Xbox is a YouTube channel. If you want to see someone just cover a lot of Xbox stuff. Okay, Simcade racing game. Definitely not one I heard of. Definitely visually pretty good looking though. Looking at this footage. Honestly, really nice looking. I'd be curious how it stacks up to Forza. Because I definitely want to play through Forza Motorsport at some point. Atari. God, Atari is so weird in this generation. It was obviously not actually Atari. It was Infogrames who brought the name. But they were just publishing some of the strangest stuff. They were publishing Dragon Ball games in this era. But yeah, really visually impressive, this one. This could pass as a Xbox 360 game if it was just running in 720p. In a lot of places. So this one would be curious to look at as well. Oh, a 9 out of 10 for Armed and Dangerous. I think I did look at some footage of this one, but let's look again. Here we go. We'll do this video. Okay, so let's see. Third-person shooter. I'm curious what the Xbox Live support is, considering... It had new game, resume game. Maybe co-op? Hang on. I think I need to send a message here. There we go. But yeah, I'm not sure what version this is, because I think this game actually runs on modern... This might be being added to Xbox One backwards compatibility from the looks of it. But, oh, maybe not, considering the frame rate here. Visuals are kind of weird. You can see that it's doing some Xbox specific rendering stuff with the lighting and things like that, but it's not a great looking game. Okay, no, this can't be running on Xbox One. It's funny though that it sometimes hits 60. But this is a strange looking game. Obviously, third person shooter. Okay, at least there's a lot of environment. But they definitely go for scale, it seems. Like, but also because of that, very empty looking levels. Reminds me a little... Like, just the gameplay reminds me of Mercenaries, but without, obviously, the big gimmick of destroying everything and calling down assists and things like that. Yeah. Well, again, we'll look into it. That's, again, the fun aspect of this era. Is there are so many interesting curios. Okay, we will look at this one, because again, I don't know it. Arx Fatalis. Here we go. Okay, we have got an RPG. What kind of RPG? Oh, okay. Got the fucking grippers out. Holy. Hell yeah. Yeah, this is also something you would see a lot on original Xbox. Was very PC coded games. Because the whole thing with the Xbox, the reason it's called that is its prototype name was DirectX Box. Like, it was built around... You know, it's very commonplace for most gaming hardware to be PC-based. And the original Xbox isn't entirely PC-based. It's got some very unique hardware as well. I'm curious if this is all dungeon. But yeah, strange looking game. Also, that map looks terrible. Had like trying to follow that. Also, yeah. Oh, durability, things like that. I'm gonna quickly... I want to figure out who made this. Dreamcatcher. Don't think I've ever heard of them. But let's God, I want to start getting to games that I've heard of. There are more original Xbox games than you realize. We've got a blue guy. Here we go. Let's look at some more footage from Camp Xbox here. Don't need that. Not a great looking title screen. Really low resolution. Wow. Wow. This is somehow looks good and terrible at the same time. Okay, let's get to some footage. Like, it's funny. Some of the well-detailed texture quality looks good, but the character model looks real rough. Hang on. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay. You definitely see this with a lot of these weird Xbox exclusives. They definitely like to go for scale. But yeah, adventure game. Maybe some collectathon aspects as well. But it is a little rough looking. It's funny because, again, it's doing stuff that is more technically advanced than, say, the PlayStation 2 would do. But it is rough looking in places. And, of course, when I searched this, I found videos going like, underrated gem? Okay, we've got collectathon stuff as well. But definitely in that kind of Ratchet Clank, Jack 1 era of kind of platformers becoming more adventure games. We'll skim a bit further in and see. Yeah, that jump in looks real. That looks terrible. Holy shit. Again, very PC coded. Of course, fishing games. This is late for Vivendi, by the way. Probably 2006. This wasn't long before Activision brought them out. And yep. Well, we'll skip through those. I love this cover art. Bicycle Casino. Including Texan Hold'em. But from my understanding, this is not a well-regarded game. But it is funny to see it have Xbox Live functionality. Oh, of course. So you might be wondering, because this is a free Xbox 360 style cover. Hang on a second, why am I being pinned? Okay. So hang on, let me look up this song. Yeah, I thought this was Metal Gear Solid. But, when these are advert games, to be clear. These were games that you could get for going to Burger King. There was 3 of them. And they were advertised as having Xbox and Xbox 360 versions. What it actually was is just that the disc worked on both. The Xbox 360 had some backwards compatibility, though it was by emulation. But, you know, I don't know if this one was covered on Cursed Kart Racers, but all the Burger King games are not well regarded. But it'll be fun to look at them in the future. Oh, okay. Definitely want to look up footage of this. Again, shows that Microsoft were trying to get a Japanese audience into the console, and it unfortunately didn't work. Let's go games again. Wow. Very different vibe from that cover art. Oh, okay. So, the vibe I get, it's not just Dungeon Crawler. It's like 3D era Gauntlet, this looks like. A bit rough looking, though. Like, this doesn't really come off like a PlayStation 2 or Xbox game. This feels like a PlayStation 1 or Dreamcast game that got a port. But, you know, dungeon crawlers can be fun. It just... I'll say throughout this footage, I'm skimming through it. I'm not seeing equipment come up. Maybe there is an equipment system as well. I feel like with these kind of games, you need to be doing fun loot systems. But this seems very Gauntlet. But that's interesting. There's like a Gauntlet clone on Xbox. Ah, yes. Blinks and Blinks 2. Despite some people might not know this, Xbox did try a couple of times to get a like mascot for the system, a more like kind of family friendly, you know, I wouldn't say competing with Nintendo necessarily, but definitely with, you know, like the kind of Ratchet and Clank, Sly Cooper, Jak and Daxter, Spyro, Crash Bandicoot, like that kind of mascot thing. And Blinks was theirs. But this game is mostly like a puzzle game. I have messed with it. So the gimmick with Blinks, the Time Sweeper, is he has various time powers where he can slow time, pause, rewind, can also make recordings, and that's what a lot of the puzzles are like you record yourself doing one action, rewind, and then you split off and do your own thing. Fun fact, this is... I never remember the name of the studio, but one of the co-creators of Sonic, who, you know, went on to, you know, split off from Sega. This is him. This is his design and studio. Let me look it up, because that's going to bother me. But I feel like it wasn't very well regarded at the time. It got kind of like middling stuff. But I feel like Blinks has become a bit of a cult classic, the character. Oh yeah, here we go. Artoon. Yes, Artoon. And who's the main guy for Artoon? Naoto Oshima, who's like, yeah, big Sega Sonic Team guy. But yeah. This is one I'm definitely curious about. See, because yeah, it's got cult classic kind of vibes now, where more people appreciate it now. I definitely think that Xbox out the gate, trying to cater to both, it ended up that the market kind of saw stuff like Blinks and the rare stuff as not really fitting the core market of the Xbox. Blinks 2, which I didn't know there was a sequel to Blinks for a very long time. Like, I knew about Blinks at the time. I guess that shows you how bad Blinks 2 did, that I did not hear about the sequel until a couple of years ago. This one, apparently, even the people who like the first game don't like this game. But definitely going to check out both. Bloodwake. I do know a little bit about this one. Also, you can see us getting into the edgier side of Xbox here. Yeah, we'll bring up the Camp Xbox footage again. Okay, so the kind of vibe I get from this is what Crimson Skies is kind of appreciated for, but boats. Is what I'm getting. But yeah, actually one of the better looking original Xbox games that were exclusives we've looked at so far. But I'd be curious. I feel like this is one that some people are really fond of, but it is a mostly forgotten game, especially compared to the likes of Crimson Skies. Breakdown! Oh, hell yeah. Give me a second here. I'm just going to have a drink. I've got to finish off my iced coffee here. This is such a fascinating game, and I wish I had heard about it sooner. I didn't hear about this game, no joke, until it was added to Xbox One backwards compatibility. Specifically, it was a game's Xbox Live Gold game they gave away 1 month. This game is really cool. It's I could be wrong about this, but I feel like it's like immersive sim territory. So it's all first person, and it's very kinetic action. Like, even picking up items is done in a very deliberate, like, you look down and you have to press a button to get your hand out and look at items, and you don't have a heads up display. This game is really cool. I've played a bit of it, but I definitely want to do a full playthrough. Like I said, I have it on Xbox One, but just for authenticity, I want to play it on original Xbox. But it's so cool. It's almost like so shocking it is a Namco original. But what I've played of it, like, this is a great game, but like I said, I've not finished it. It's funny because the early levels, you start out you know, very weak using guns, and you very quickly start getting powers where you have, you know, the magical fist, and you're fighting like weird creatures and stuff like that. It's a fascinating game though, so definitely look forward to that playthrough. I have vague memories. There was a game in, like, you know, back before video games stores were just chains, where, you know, smaller businesses would run them. A local place had Xbox games. I remember looking at the case for this one and the pictures and thinking the visuals looked amazing. It's like, wow, it looks like Bruce Lee. This game is reportedly horrendous. This is going to be on the Bad Game Hall of Fame. There have been so many attempts to do, like, video games about Bruce Lee. Obviously, died back in late 70s, early 80s. I don't remember exactly when. You know, tragic. Like, right when he was getting big internationally. One of the most influential action movie stars of all time. I hear this game does not do him justice at all, but I'm gonna be very curious to look at this one. But again, this will probably be on the Bad Game Hall of Fame in the future. Brute Force. I know a little bit about this one. Let me look this up though. Brute Force. Yeah, we'll look at this video. Let's get to gameplay, because there's a lot of CGI. Wow, that's just a fucking crash from Quake 3. Wow, that is just a fucking Halo 1 assault rifle crosshair. That is it exactly. That's really funny. Definitely one of the better looking of the third person shooters we've looked at so far. Also, this is just a fucking Ewok homeworld we're starting out here. Also, yeah, if people don't remember, this is what third person shooters used to look like. Until Resident Evil 4, you didn't put the crosshair, you know, you didn't put the character, you put the character center and you put the crosshair above them. It's funny to think about now. This version might run worse than the actual hardware. This is like running in 720, and I think this might be running on 360 even. I'm not sure. Let's skip ahead a bit. Doesn't look bad. I'm just not seeing anything that stands out right now. Definitely visually pretty good. Let's see, why is this section most replayed? Oh, no, that was just my internet. Yeah, it doesn't... Looks very... Like, look at that guy, just fucking standing there. Not very tactical, smart game, it looks like. Looks like it is very just spray and pray. Find weird zombie monsters. Why is this part the most replayed. I feel like sometimes a couple people click on a bit, and then a bunch of other people click to see why was people clicking it, and that's how you get the most replayed. Yeah, I don't know. Seems a little like it's visually impressive, but the actual gameplay looks quite generic, and the AI look, you know, the CPU enemies look pretty dumb. But if anyone knows about it, let me know. We'll have a look. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. This apparently is actually quite a good game. I don't know too much about this one. I think this is The Collective. There's a PlayStation 2 one that's a different developer. That one is not as well regarded. But yeah, I remember my older sisters used to watch this show a lot. And I've been curious to check it out, because it is well regarded. Okay, let's okay, so this is definitely not the PlayStation 2 game, but it's kind of funny because the PlayStation 2 game looks like it's trying to be this. But yeah, my understanding is it's kind of, yeah, it's like a beat-em-up adventure game. Definitely looks way better than that PlayStation 2 sequel, which I believe was a different developer. But yeah, this one is actually kind of well regarded from my understanding. I'm curious how it runs on real hardware, because I think this is emulated. Let's skip around a bit, see some late game stuff. But yeah, it's funny to think about this show getting an action beat-em-up video game. But I do hear positive things about that one. Oh, yes. This game I do know about. I don't believe it is actually Bethesda developed. I think they're just a publisher on this. Let me look that up, see who made this game. This game is definitely a cult classic. Yes, this was developed by Headfirst Productions. This is a first-person survival horror adventure game, you know, based on H.P. Lovecraft work. Funny enough, not so much Cthulhu, but more so the Shadow over Innsmouth. But this game is also like very ambitious and quite janky. My understanding is the PC version is actually harder to run without issues than this version. And I think it's one that people have hoped would get like a remaster or re-release or something, because it is so hard to play. Yeah, they mentioned, yeah, the PC version has a number of software bugs, never officially patched. There's an unofficial patch as well. But it's... yeah, the main thing I hear is that this is a really cool game that is a bit too ambitious for its own good. I have seen it being played, but it is a cool one. And it'd be curious to check out. But I understand, yeah, the Xbox version. Also, wow, that's interesting. They were playing a PS2 version. It is also a pretty good-looking Xbox game, so I can't imagine it would have ran on PlayStation 2. Oh dear, this is probably not a good one. Also, for a jet ski game, carve makes me think of snow. But we'll look at this. But yeah, Global Star being the publisher. Not a good sign. Really looking water, though. I'll give it that. Sorry, you know what? I'm going to try and find a better video. But yeah, another in this kind of extreme sports 2000s era. Okay. Okay, it's not all ladies. Definitely a lot of ladies, though. Let's get into the footage here. Very busy hard. I guess this would be competing with Wave Race. Let's see. Yeah, this is just a buoy fin. Oh, you missed it. Maybe this is... Let me look at quickly at my image. No, that is the... I usually think of Global GS as publishing like PAL stuff, but I guess maybe not. They would end up publishing very weird stuff. But yeah, not one I hear about, but visually pretty looking. Very colourful as well. I wonder if it's all... what? Like maybe just this early gameplay is a lot of buoy stuff. That might be how you earn... boost, maybe? Let me watch for a bit. No, I'm not sure. But yeah, very arcadey. A fun look. I'd be curious about this one. Of course. There's a lot of these. I'm surprised this is exclusive. But there were a lot of these football manager games. I remember specifically Codemasters did a really kind of scummy thing where they put out like 20 editions of the same game, and the only difference is it was for each different football club, but they were all the same game. Messed up. I think this... not sure if that's the same, but yeah. There's a couple of these. Ah, this one I do know. Chase, Hollywood Stunt Driver. I believe this is like one of the few South African developed video games. It's a... basically take on the Stuntman game, but a bit more arcadey. Kind of mixed from what I hear. Like, and you know, it's more forgiving, more wacky than Stuntman, but it's not quite got the handling or the polish. But an interesting game. It'll be fun to cover at some point. This one is funny, being a fucking Xbox exclusive, a chess game. You know, as much as I enjoy competitive games that do have like some of the same principles as chess, like technically fighting games once you get to a certain level have a lot of, you know, that same boils down to thinking so many steps ahead. I just, for some reason, even though I can remember like tons of fighting game movesets, I just can't remember with chess. I can't keep track of it. I think something about the real time, more reactive style is why I could gel with fighting games and I can't gel with chess. Is this chess as well? Let me look. Classified. The Sentinel Crisis. Oh, the first video I get. How bad is Classified? By Implant Games. Let's look at this one here. Oh! Okay, yes. You know what? I think someone in the Bad Game Hall of Fame Discord was playing this at some point. Definitely, I would put this in the era of when games were kind of trying to do more Halo. You know, Halo on the original Xbox really reshaped what first-person shooters were like on console. So it was often, you know, you would see games that would try and kind of mimic the look of the HUD. Oh, yeah. So, middling reviews. It was a cheap game. I'm seeing that. Let's get to some more gameplay footage. The main gimmick I know is this gun. I believe is like... There's not many guns in this game. This main gun, you swap into different modes. See, like, it's got grenade mode. It's got... Yeah. You do have a pistol as well. But I think this game ends up being very generic. Like, there's barely any story. It's very typical level design. Looks okay, but this is a game that looks like it would have... Outside of some of the texture quality, probably could have ran on PlayStation 2. Obviously, the frame rate's decent. Assuming this is running on original hardware. But yeah, doesn't look like amazing enemy AI either. But it is funny to see kind of a budgety take on Halo that really misses the point. Yeah. That'd be a fun one to check out someday. Terrible cover though, I'm just gonna say. I, again, thought this was a chess game. Cold War. You know what? I'll have to see. I wanted to do both. Stealth action. I wanted to do both tier lists because I wanted to talk about a lot of the games. We'll see. Oh, Dreamcatcher again. Okay, let's get to some... This might be a PC version, actually, looking at it. Because this looks way too good for original Xbox. But yeah, definitely a stealth game. Very dark looking. Oh, that run animation is not good. Not good though. Yeah, holy shit, this game is way too dark. But yeah, a bit SOCOM-like. I'm getting from looks of it. But doesn't seem as interesting as what I've seen of SOCOM. Oh yeah, this is just a budget SOCOM clone, I guess. Wow. I didn't even know there was SOCOM. Not SOCOM, sorry. Splinter Cell. I've been saying SOCOM. This is a Splinter Cell clone. But yeah, wow. This is grey and brown before grey and brown was like really prevalent. Be curious. I'll have to look up some reviews for that one. Okay, this one I don't know about, but I believe these games are very poorly received, these combat ones. We'll skip through a bit. Ah, here we go. Oh, got a massive warning on this one. Conquer, Live and Reloaded. So, a big thing that happened this generation, Rare had been, you know, Rare, third-party developer, did a lot of stuff with Nintendo to the point that Nintendo actually brought like a 25% stake in the company at some point. They were basically a second-party developer. And then out of kind of nowhere, apparently this caught a lot of the ground floor developers by surprise. The brothers, the Stamper brothers who owned it, randomly announced like, oh yeah, we're selling the company. And for some reason, Nintendo didn't want anything to do with it. And Xbox ended up buying it. And even though some interesting games have come out of it, I definitely feel like a lot of the magic was lost. once Xbox brought Rare, because despite putting all the money into it, they really didn't know what to do with them. They don't seem that interested in their older IPs and style. Xbox was going edgier very quickly, so a lot of their early, more family-friendly, kind of all ages output did not really do well. And Conker Live and Reloaded is such a fascinating game. It's a remake of Conker's Bad Fur Day. It's actually more censored than the N64 game. Like, more of the cussing is bleeped. And I think like some of the gore is actually toned down. But the main thing outside of like the visual changes is that it has more contemporary third-person shooter controls and more emphasis on the guns. But funny enough, this was one of the top 10 most played Xbox Live games. Funny enough, there was an internet cafe in my town when I was growing up. I always regret that I never actually went in. I think just not having money, I didn't feel like I was ever gonna have the money to ask to get a membership, things like that. But I always remember they advertised, like, hey, you want to come and just play Conker Live and Reloaded? You can play here. They had like a giant marquee sticker in their shop. But apparently, because, you know, the original game had multiplayer as well, but it was local only with bots. I would, you know, going through this, it'd be curious to check it out. I've only played little bits. I'll probably have to play the original as well. I do that in my own time through the Rare Replay. But I'd be curious how this contrasts. And there are ways to play fan server stuff now, so it'd be really cool to see what the multiplayer is like. But that's why it's called Live and Reloaded, is, you know, Xbox Live. It is far more built around its multiplayer aspect, though again, it does have the original campaign. My understanding is, though, is that most fans don't like the visual art style change, the kind of more realistic. Like, Conker has, he's a lot more furry looking. It does like the fuzz tech at the time, and most people seem to regard it as like kind of ugly looking. Alright, give me a second here. There we go. Yes, Counter-Strike got an Xbox version. Valve's early days in the console gaming, fascinating. You know, there's the PlayStation, there's the cancelled Dreamcast version of Half-Life 1 that got recycled into the PlayStation 2 version, and all the weird changes there. And you get this Xbox exclusive Counter-Strike, which my understanding is it did have a decent presence on Xbox Live. I think it does have some single player content as well, though. And this might be like one of the few versions of Counter-Strike to have single player content in it. But this will be a fun one to check out one day. Ah, here we go. It's a long time coming, but this is a game I can actually tier. So, I've mentioned it a few times that the original Xbox inherited a lot from Sega and the Dreamcast. And a big part of that is because Sega was so bitter about Sony being like their main competition that kind of killed them. They weren't that friendly or that big into the idea of playing ball with the PlayStation 2 for a while. A lot of the early Dreamcast to PlayStation 2 releases, for example, were ported by Acclaim. And a lot of multi-platform releases around that time would be pretty bad on PlayStation 2. Even though there are some PlayStation 2 exclusive Sega games as well. But one of the big pushes to like get a presence in Japan for the original Xbox was to have Sega make exclusive sequels to some of their big Sega Saturn and Dreamcast IPs, and one of them is Crazy Taxi 3. This game originally was supposed to be a lot bigger in scope. It was supposed to have mostly online functionality, like built around online modes, day-night cycles, like bigger maps. It ended. I don't know why. It's the Wikipedia page mentions some of this, but it doesn't say why. At some point, that version got completely scrapped, and this ends up being a compilation game. So, what Crazy Taxi 3 is it's the arcade map of Crazy Taxi 1. Though it is expanded, it actually has new areas. The console, well, Crazy Taxi 2, I don't think ever had it. Let me check that. Did Crazy Taxi 2 come out in arcades? No, it was Dreamcast only. Funny enough, even though it was Dreamcast only, Crazy Taxi 2 is still built like Crazy Taxi 1. So it has like a arcade and an original map. For some reason, it doesn't have the main around Apple map. It has the small Apple map, which is a fictionalized New York based around Central Park. I'll be honest, I think it's actually the worst map of the two. And a original map based on a fictionalized Vegas. It has all the characters from 1 and 2 and their cars, including 4 new characters from 3. It has all the Offspring music from the first 2 games, all the Bad Religion music from the first 2 games, as well as some extra. And it also has a massive, huge take on the Crazy Box minigame. It's like the biggest version of it. It's an interesting game. It's decent looking, great soundtrack. Having the Crazy Taxi 1 map expanded and with the jump, the Crazy Jump. Crazy Jump I have mixed feelings on. It's cool and it lets you do some fun things, but it definitely trivializes some of the gameplay. Now, if you get like really into it, you kind of learn that the jump really slows you down in places. But the expanded maps is fun. However, if they were going to go for a compilation game, where is the original map from Crazy Taxi 1? Where is the around Apple map from Crazy Taxi 2? This feels half-baked to what it could have been. It's great to play, but it feels like it's missing half the content it should have had. Again, not having all the maps from the previous games is a big mistake, in my opinion. Especially because I do think the around Apple map is the better of the Crazy Taxi 2 maps. But I do think the expanded version of the Crazy Taxi 1 map is interesting. It's basically the same map. The main difference is that when you get to the stadium and there's like the road that leads to the highway, the curvy highway, they add a separate section that goes to a theme park, and I think some other like minor adjustments, but that's the main difference. But yeah, missed opportunity. But that being said, so I'm gonna put this in good. If it had I'd have to mess with it more to see how I really feel about the new map. But it's like one step forward, one step back. It's like, hey, the Crazy Taxi 1 map with new areas, that's cool. A whole new map with a very different feel, very expansive, that's cool. But then you picked like the worst Crazy Taxi 2 map, and you also didn't bring over the other maps from the series. It's a very mixed game, but it is still really fun to play, you know? It's still great pick up and play. The Xbox controller being so similar to a Dreamcast controller means it feels great to play on it, you know, to do all the shifting and style boosts and drifts, that kind of thing. It's great. It also keeps all the music, the original voice acting, the sponsorships. They even do new ones. They also put the new pedestrian types that were added in Crazy Taxi 2, where you would pick up multiple passengers at once. They added those to the Crazy Taxi 1 map. It is still a really good game. It is just not as good as it could have been. If it had all 4 maps from Crazy Taxi 1 and 2, and maybe even 2 extra maps, I would have put it in the great tier. But I can't put it any higher than that, unfortunately. Crimson Sea. Funny enough, there is a PlayStation 2 sequel. A PlayStation 2 exclusive sequel to this. But it's a weird game. From what I remember playing of it. We'll get some footage up quickly. But I don't remember liking the PlayStation 2 game. Apparently, this Xbox One, it is kind of like a take on Muso stuff. But it has very weird subsystems, like how you fill meters and, yeah, squad-based management stuff. Some of these mechanics, though, are like completely gone from the PlayStation 2 version. But this is the main idea. And I think like how much of a combo you build, that changes stuff as well. Didn't seem great, though. But, you know, I'd be curious to give it a try. And again, it's funny that it got a PlayStation 2 exclusive sequel. Here we go. This is the big one. Here, we'll bring up some footage of this one. This is definitely one of the ones I am most curious about. You know, highly curious about, I'd say, because there's a lot I'm curious about. But this is a big cult classic Xbox original game. You know, it's this like steampunky flight game. But I think it has kind of a freeform gameplay. You know, where you're doing missions out of order. You've got these like kind of random encounters, things like that. But this is, from my understanding, like a cult classic. You know, like fun bosses, fun take on vehicles, very kind of like, I never remember what it's called, like it's pop something, like the kind of like adventure comics that inspired stuff like Indiana Jones, that kind of style of media. But I'm very curious about this one because it is so well liked. And yes, also had a big Xbox Live multiplayer component as well. So that'll be a fun one to check out someday. Yes, this is a Xbox exclusive. I could be wrong. I think this might be Telltale. Let me look quickly. CSI Xbox. No, sorry. This is Radical Entertainment. This is the Simpsons Hit and Run Scarface developers. Though, funny enough, it's developed apparently under their 369 Interactive label. But my understanding, yeah, it's kind of like an early take on what like would become like Telltale games. Wow, this Xbox version is not well liked from the looks of it. All like 5 out of 10s from the looks of it. But this would be a fun one to check out. I remember specifically the Xbox 360 games became very popular with achievement hunters because they were very easy 100% achievements because you just got them for beating the game, basically. But yes, that's going to be a fun one to check out. Okay, what's this one? Let me find out. This is Cupid Bistro. Hang on. Probably not Bistro, probably Bistro? Bistro Cupid. I'll get some footage up here. Again, this is another, I believe. Wow. Fire dog. That just looks like a fucking Pikachu. This might be a visual novel. But this is a Japanese exclusive again. Oh no. There's more gameplay. I'm not sure what's going on here, but look. Oh, wow. Oh, it is a bistro. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Some of the Japanese exclusive Xbox games, fascinating. The ones that were made just for Japan, that they were like, yeah, no, there's no point releasing this outside. I don't get quite like Diner Dash from this. Hang on, what's this screen? Oh, okay, it's just that. This is such a... Like, why is this an Xbox exclusive exactly? I don't know. This is why I wanted to do the tier list and look at like all the exclusives though, because of funny ones like that. Hang on, what's this one? Oh, this is Damon Vector. Not Damond. Here we go. We'll look at this footage. This is again Japanese only Xbox game. Does not look. This is a game that looks like a does not look Japanese to me. Fascinating. Yeah, hard to say. This is all tutorial stuff, it looks like. But maybe another kind of Diablo-like? Or maybe like a fantasy take on Muso stuff? No, definitely not with the crowds. Not a lot of footage of this one, actually. There are a lot of original Xbox games that do not have fan translations because I think they're just so obscure. Maybe also, I don't know, maybe original Xbox game hacking is not that easy. Ooh. Oh! Kind of wondering if the camera is bad in this, because I'm seeing a lot of like fighting characters that are off screen. But yeah, this... Now, these ones I'm curious about. You know. I didn't realize how many systems Dance Dance Revolution games released on. It makes sense. But funny enough, there actually aren't that many DDR games on GameCube from my understanding. There actually is quite a lot of Xbox ones. But I am curious to look at some of them. It's definitely a thing, like I did with the PlayStation 2 tier list, where I'm not going to rank every individual DDR game, because for a lot of them, the only difference is set list and the UI design. And that's pretty much it, you know? But it's interesting they did so many of these Xbox ones. And you can also see as well that they're trying to appeal to a more, quote, like Western audience with the cover arts. But yeah, they released a lot more of these on original Xbox than I realized. It'll be funny to check those out. Okay, Dead Man's Hand by Atari. Is this a poker game? Let's have a quick look. Sometimes quite hard to find real hardware playthroughs of some of these games. Huh. Okay, so it's first person. It's a shooting game. Okay. Where you get points? It doesn't look, again, like an Xbox game. This, again, like, looks very PlayStation 1 game. Updated and ported to PlayStation 2. Wow, this is, yeah, very arcadey looking. And it could be fun, because I do kind of miss this era of first-person shooters that built score systems in their games. It's one of the really fun things going back to the PlayStation 2 era James Bond games, is how they would build, like, scoring systems into the levels, give you a reason to replay them. But this does seem a bit budget title as well. Shooting does not look great, though. Yeah, this looks very budgety. Oh, shit. Is this an on-rails section? Also, I do like you do have this combo timer. Oh, that's... What is the card system? I haven't quite figured this out yet. Because this is health, I think. Unless this is health? Oh, I think this is health, actually. So what's this meter? Maybe there's like a... some sort of like Deadeye equivalent. But yeah, like this does not look like an Xbox original game. Like, look at the fucking textures on this gun. What a weird curio. Alright. Okay, Dead or Alive 3. This one, I have played a lot of, but I can't really rank, unfortunately. It is, I would say, definitely though, one of the main Xbox exclusives. It is a gorgeous game. Definitely one of the best Dead or Alives. Dead or Alive is a fun series I've always liked. It definitely, it's kind of voyeuristic-y aspects of it can get a bit uncomfortable at times. Makes it a bit embarrassing to play with other people, but at the same time, like, the core gameplay is so fun. They do such interesting things with the levels. But I would really need to dive deep into this one to properly rank it. I would say this would be a tentative, like, great. I'm not sure about masterpiece, but this is one I'm looking forward to diving into. In fact, soon on PlayStation 2, we're going to look at Dead or Alive 2 Hardcore. Even though that is already ranked as a play elsewhere, I just want to, you know, look at a launch title, talk about and show how that is actually a worse looking version than the Dreamcast version, which is shocking. But speaking of Dead or Alive Ultimate. So Dead or Alive Ultimate is a compilation re-release. It is a full remaster of Dead or Alive 2 Hardcore with some extra content. Like, a big thing was adding online multiplayer. And actually, I did manage to play some of it. One of my older sister's friends had this game and a Xbox with Live, And I remember trying the online for 2 and 3, and I remember 3 actually having worse online. This remaster is really good, though. From my vague memory, it looks better than Dead or Alive 3 in places. It also comes with a... it's not as updated as Dead or Alive 2, but a remaster of Dead or Alive 1. I forget exactly what it's based on, though, so I'm going to look that up quickly. But I am ranking this together, even though some places, like some people even sell them separately. Okay, so yeah, it's a high-resolution edition of the Sega Saturn version of Dead or Alive, and a remake of Dead or Alive 2, new graphics engine, and Dead or Alive 3 game mechanics, new content, and adds an extra character. But yeah, no, it is a beautiful looking game. Obviously, the version of Dead or Alive 1 in the collection... yeah, so you don't have the PlayStation 1 content in it. But it's still like a decent looking version. But the Dead or Alive 2 in this is highly enhanced. We'll look at it as well at some point. You know, because we're going to look at Dead or Alive 3. And we're going to look at the PS2 version of Dead or Alive 2. But I feel pretty confident putting this in great. Because, again, it's the best version of Dead or Alive 2 you could play, probably. Having all the extra content, the characters, how good it looks. Again, even though it's, you know, updated to be in line with Dead or Alive 3, I remember it looking better than Dead or Alive 3 as well in places. It'd be really funny if you could also play this on the fan version of Xbox Live. But there you go. Let's look at some more. Oh, yes, of course. Of course. We'll have to play this one. I've never actually played any of the Dead or Alive Extreme games. It's always funny to think about that this first one was called Beach Volleyball, and as these spin-off games kept coming, pardon the pun there, not intended, but as they kept coming out, that they just dropped, the volleyball became less and less of what it was about. They're more like weird social sims. Like dress up, hang out with girls, things. Definitely a lot of Gooner bait stuff in there. But they're very transparent that that's what they're about as well. Wow. I always forget, you know, as good looking as the Dead or Alive games were, man, did the girls in them not look like real girls for a very long time. The ladies were so plastic looking. This also has the awkward thing as well, where, like, up until I think, like, Dead or Alive 4 or 5, a lot of the characters were not 18 as well. Some of that is related to how Japan's laws were around the age of consent back then. And modeling stuff and things like that. That has changed. For a long time, it was kind of like a verbal agreement, like it was 18, but it's more official now. But it is... They were always very plasticky. This is also back when the faces were more anime-fied, for lack of a better term. Like the eye proportion and things like that were not as realistic. But... fuck it, we'll have to look at it at some point. It'll be funny. Death Row. Death Row. I do not know this one. I can tell you that for free. With this box art, this could be anything. We'll look at some Camp Xbox footage again. What the f... Wow, this cover did not sell this game at all. I was expecting like a beat 'em up or first person shooter. No, this is fucking Tron, disc battling, but like edgy in 2000s. Okay. It is funny though, like you could kind of see they're keeping it because they have like the stereotypical orange convict system. But I guess as you like advance through, you start getting like the full-on cyber suits. This is very, to me, like Mega Drive coded. These kind of like Bill Lambier's combat basketball and shit like that. It could be cute, you know. Windjammers is fun. But like the fact they're going for this like death race. Oh, the Blitz. It's like Blitzball. The Blitzsters. The Blitzers. But you know, this would have also been the time of kind of the spiritual successors to NBA Jam. There was still also NFL Blitz games coming out. But it's funny seeing characters do fucking like beat 'em up combos on each other. That'll be a funny one to look at someday. Okay, what's this is another Japanese game, I believe. Import only. So let me look this one up. This is Denno Tyson Drones. Not a lot of footage of this one. I've got 11 long like let's play where every video is only like 10 minutes long. Okay, we'll look at this video and see if we can figure out what this is. What the fuck is this? Again, every time I start to see these Japan exclusive original Xbox games, oh, I guess this one has English. Wow, it's another like gritty take on like Tron disc battling, it looks like to me. What is this face? What is this game? Why is it just jumping on these weird floating platforms? It doesn't look good. Oh, hacking. Okay, well, we'll have to check this one out someday. Super weird. Aha, here we go. I'm curious about this one. So, Deus Ex, the first game, is a game. So Deus Ex Human Revolution is one of my favorite games from the 7th generation. And I've always wanted to get into the series because I love what it's going for. But I tried the PC version at some point and it was too impenetrable for me. Funny enough, I've played a bit of the PS2 version. We are going to do a full playthrough of that. That might actually be the version I prefer because they make the game a bit more conventional in terms of you can play it as a shooter. Like, that's a big thing I remember of the PC original, is that you basically can't, like, guns only work, like, you, for being a cybernetic enhanced guy, your gun sucks for so long in that game. The PlayStation version, like, scales stuff down a little bit. It makes it a bit more approachable. But yes, the sequel to Deus Ex is very interesting because unlike the first game, it was actually made with console in mind. It was built to scale so it could work on the original Xbox. It's definitely not as expansive, but it is more open. Like, you have more downtime between missions and open areas to explore. I've seen someone play a bit of it. It doesn't actually seem bad, and as you can see, I feel like it's not well liked now, but, you know, was highly regarded from some places at the time. That'll be a fascinating one to look at. Ah! Dino Crisis 3. We'll get some footage up while I talk about this one. We are going to tier this one. But, look forward. I don't know if we would. This could show up on the Bad Game Hall of Fame. But let's talk about what is up with this game. We'll get to gameplay. So, Dino Crisis is a beloved cult classic, like survival horror spin-off. Oh, okay. Sorry. Sometimes my YouTube does that when you're like skimming around videos. You play as Regina, one of the coolest Capcom protagonists they haven't done anything with since fucking the Capcom X Namco games. But what happened is, and I still do not understand this way of thinking, but a lot of stuff was just weird around this time, right? 9/11 happened, right? A very devastating, fucked up thing. And we could talk a lot about all the political implications around it and stuff. It's too much to get into. But it had a huge effect on media, because a lot of media was so terrified. It was a very sensitive. People were very sensitive at the time. And a lot of media was very scared of harkening back to it, especially just showing any sort of disaster stuff at the time. Any sort of like showing like modern day American settings with destruction. So whatever Dino Crisis 3 originally was going to be got scrapped. And they're like, fuck it. It's in the far future. It's in space. And this is a game we got instead. Also, for being fucking gameplay footage, this is almost entirely this incredibly way too long intro movie. The game they made is this weird futuristic, like jet-based shooter. It is terrible. It is... Even though Capcom made so many amazing fixed camera angle based video games, this game's gameplay is so antithesis to the camera system. The cuts make no sense. The level, like the rooms are way too big. It's all boring, grey, industrial look. You know, Lifeline has issues, but they do a good job of making their space station have interesting areas, like civilian areas. Like, look at this gameplay. This game, yeah, sucks. It's... Yes, it has dinosaurs. That's about the only similarity it really has with Dino Crisis. Going in space, like, makes no sense. It's disconnected from any of the previous plots. The gunplay sucks. The characters are boring. Aesthetically boring. But that's the problem. It sucks, but it's also just boring. Like, yes, there's some annoying gameplay aspects, but most of the game is just dashing around while holding the shoot, because you just auto-lock on the stuff. It's very Devil May Cry 2 in that regard. It's a completely different team, but if you told me this was the Devil May Cry 2 team before Hideki Itsuno kind of were able to get them more focused and better managed, I'd believe you. Because it looks like Devil May Cry 2, right? Just even more boring, even more shooter-based. Also, yeah, it has a really confusing map navigation. Like, look at this. Look at this. So yeah, we're gonna tier this. Hang on, let me sort that out quick. There we go. bad. Like I said, it is so bad, so boring. Like I said, Bob Lane in chat says, yeah, I'm surprised Dino Crisis 3 hasn't been on the show. The problem is, my understanding is it's not a interesting bad game. It's the worst thing you could say about a game is that it is boring, it is mind-numbing. We would potentially look at it. Also, it's something where I don't know how it runs in emulator. Xbox emulation is getting better, but it is very slowly, and it's very limited what parts of the library do run well. Like, even though Jet Set Radio Future, for example, is in a pretty good state, it definitely does not run perfect. It is not like, if you wanted to show what that game was like on original hardware, the emulator isn't quite up to snuff yet, and some games can have some major issues. But it will probably show up on the Bad Game Hall of Fame eventually when we know more about it. Yeah. Zumu says 80% of the library is playable. But playable can mean, like, you can play the game from start to finish, but the game might run at, like, quarter speed, for example. Or might have massive slowdown and skipping if you do certain stuff. Outrun 2006, for example, runs pretty smooth until you go, like, off-road. At least the last time I tried it. And then the frame rate will die and the audio will fuck up. That's another thing as well. A game might be playable but doesn't have proper working audio. So that might be another reason we haven't looked at it. But, yeah, it is also just... yeah. But very confident. Just bad. Aha! Doom 3 and the expansion. So, Doom 3 is an interesting game. You know, id after Quake 3 is such an interesting company that from Quake 3 all the way to Doom 2016, interesting company because they got incredibly experimental. They got really focused on very edge case use tech, right? You think of Rage and the mega texture stuff. But Doom 3 is interesting because it seems to have a love it, hate it relationship. Obviously, it is so far removed from original Doom and Doom 2 gameplay. It is an action horror game. But the Xbox, it was kind of an experiment. The game was built for PC, but they actually managed to scale the game down to original Xbox. My understanding is that the original Xbox versions are different enough that you wouldn't necessarily say, oh, play the PC versions. Like, they actually do mess with the level design. And like I said, I like to see how consoles manage these style of games. Also, I believe the collector's edition of Doom 3 and just every version of the expansion campaign have versions of Doom 1 and 2 you can play in them. That'd be fun to check out as well. Funny enough, the main version of Doom 3 I've played is Doom 3 VR. Where, honestly, kind of feels like that might be closer to the intended vision of what the game is supposed to be. It's like loosely based off the BFG edition, so it has like the flashlight mounted, but it makes more sense for VR to have the flashlight always on the gun, because where you're lighting is directly where you're pointing. It's not tied to your head anymore. And the closer environments, the more visceral, scary, like, it makes more sense. It feels like it gels with VR. Also, I'll have to try this, experiment this myself. People have watched me play Doom 3 VR. Specifically, I played it on PlayStation 4 VR using the PlayStation... I forget what the controller's called, but it's the VR controller that's, like, for shooting stuff. But it feels great. And people have said, like, the shotgun might actually be more... like, they might have actually tuned it in that version. I find that discussion around that interesting, because it's often regarded as, like, one of the worst shotguns in games. But I've seen the argument made that if you play the game how it's intended, it's an incredibly powerful weapon. You just have to use it more like the double barrel shotgun. Which is funny, because I hear the double barrel shotgun in Doom 3 is even worse than the main shotgun. But these will be fascinating to go through. I really want to go through these ones, because my understanding, these are also technical marvels. I'm curious what the online is, because I don't think these games have deathmatch, but I could be wrong about that. Oh, I don't know this one. Double Steel. Oh, okay, so this is a sequel to Reckless the Yakuza missions. Okay. Definitely want to look at these, because, so, Reckless the Yakuza missions has a pretty infamous, terrible PlayStation 2 port. It's ugly, the physics are busted, but Yakuza missions is a very goofy, it's kind of like a take on Driver, I'd say, but from a Japanese perspective. I believe this one is Xbox original exclusive, but these are kind of technical like, these are great looking games. Here, we'll look at some footage of well, this is the first one, but we'll look at footage of it anyway. But like, the only real issue is, like, kind of some of the resolution. The PlayStation 2 versions are really bad, though, of this first one. But really wacky story, premises, really fun objectives. Don't play the PS2 versions, for sure. They look horrendous. A lot of the physics are broken. The driving handle, like, the handling model is way worse. Let me see if I can find footage. Yeah, here we go. Got Digital Foundry video. Oh, also there's a GameCube version of Reckless, which I believe is based on the PS2 version, and it's also bad. So let me get to some footage here from Digital Foundry. Holy shit! Oh my god, that's original Xbox. Let's. You could, yeah. The real thing that holds this back is the resolution. There are some Xbox 360 games that don't look as good as this. Especially at night. But yes, again, I think similar take on the first game. Like a kind of like a take on Driver. I'd be really curious to check this one out. But yeah, I hear these Xbox versions are cool. And yeah, the sequel seems to be Xbox exclusive as well. Oh, that's a funny camera aiming system. Yeah, those are going to be fun to check out. Yeah! Hell yeah! So, this is very well known with the Bad Game Hall of Fame crowd, as I'm sure people are aware of. Cassidy, official, what's the name? Leader of, and sole member of the Drake of the 99 Dragons fan club. Here's the thing though, I have never played this game. I've seen a lot of it. I know the memes, the cutscenes, the really jerky movements, but I've never actually played it. So in good conscience, I will not rank this. I want to play this for myself. I want to play it on original Xbox. There is a PC version. Apparently, it is a nightmare to get working. I believe you can actually emulate the Xbox version easier than you can play the PC one. But this is going to be a fun one to check out, for sure. Dream. This one I'm curious about. I believe this is part of a series. These are very classic adventure games, from my understanding. I don't know. We won't look at that. We'll look at... Oh no, this is a mod. I don't want that. We'll look at this footage. This might be PC footage, technically. But we'll look at this one. Okay. I might have to be careful. We might not get to GameCube stuff if I don't pick up the pace here. But yeah, if you figure like Broken Sword, this is kind of in that realm. And I'd be curious, because I do like, you know, like classic Telltale, LucasArts 3D adventure games. With, you know, it's interesting to see though, because this has a contemporary setting. I'd be curious if this is a game I would stream though. I'm trying to think. I don't know if this does have any stealth or action-y moments. Oh, it does. It has a little bit. But yeah, this is one I'm curious about. I hear decent things. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna try and get through these a bit quicker. But this is, I believe, another Japanese exclusive. This is Dreho on Xbox. So I just need to quickly look. Okay, we're good. Okay, that's a very PlayStation 1 cutscene. Huh. Okay. So you're drilling. Huh. Not a good sign that the first 3 minutes of... Wow. Okay, so there is some sort of, like, stuff you can do. Oh, look at the beeve meter. I love this design, though. But, this is a strange-looking game. This is one that might be impenetrable without being able to understand it. Oh. Well, you found something there. Okay, so you do get to the surface eventually. But, yeah, I don't know what this game is. I'd love to know more about it, but it also doesn't... Again, one of these original Xbox games that feels like could have come out on a different hardware. The only thing it's really doing is some lighting stuff and maybe, like, how well the frame rate is. Like, yeah, when you're down here, like, some of the lighting seems cool, but, like, the texture work is definitely not amazing. But maybe this is, like, where SteamWorld Dig comes from. It's like that idea, but in 3D. I don't know. Curio. I will look this up. Let's see. Dungeons and Dragons Heroes. I'm expecting Dungeon Crawler Yep. Yep. Baldur's Gate-like is what this probably is. You know what? I think I played a demo of this. And I remember really liking it. I think for a while I couldn't remember if this was Dark Alliance in my memories, but I think this is the one I played a demo of. I mean, it does look wonky. I'll give you that. Like, it's running well. That guy's got a real wide walk-in stance, though. We'll skip far ahead. Let's see. But, you know, I'm currently digging into one of these old-school style 3D dungeon crawlers with PS2 or Dying Friends, going through Champions and Orath. No, I will do, like, a solo playthrough of that at some point, because we're going for the multiplayer, so we're missing out on a lot of the story and things like that. Hopefully this Sunday we'll do it. Last couple of Sundays, people have been busy. I missed the one before. But yeah, I imagine as well this has co-op, hence the name. Oh dear. Okay. Enclave Xbox. Let's have a little looky-loo at this one. I might have seen this game. I recognize that title screen for sure. Okay, yeah, I kind of know this one. Very fucking dark, though, in these early levels. My understanding, this was kind of like before Xbox got Morrowind. This was kind of that game for people. Though it does look... The combat looks very janky. And fucking Morrowind combat is already really janky. Visually looks really good, though. And this video is supposed to be original hardware. A lot of characters, though. I guess it's like... You're swapping characters a lot. Damn, look at the fucking armor on this lady chafing. But yeah, I remember this being a bit of a... Hey you, Darn. But yeah, let me quickly look. I want to see, when did Morrowind originally come out? Oh yeah, this was the same year. 2002. When did the Xbox version come out? Oh, around the same time. But yeah, I remember this was kind of... It's probably not well regarded now, but I do think like people do have quite some fondness for this, for doing this kind of stuff. It was, I think, another big selling point of original Xbox, that it was able to do these grander scale Western RPGs that you didn't really get on PlayStation 2. Oh, here we go. Got another Japanese game that I don't know. Let's have a look. God, I don't like this now loading please wait channel that just has 40-second fucking clips. I think these are the videos that get shown in like Launchbox and things like that. Here, we'll look at this footage here. This is a mech game, apparently. Let's get to some gameplay. Here, we'll get to this bit. Oh yeah, this is very, very mech gameplay. Not quite, Metal Wolf Chaos. Doesn't seem that far removed from Metal Wolf Chaos, though. in terms of having like conventional guns. No, this gameplay seems a bit basic. The thing is, are these all like arena fights? Yeah. Does it help that this footage all seems to be in this like arena area, but maybe that's like where the game starts out. But yeah. I know original Xbox does have a lot of cool mech games. Here we go. Okay. Fable, I actually did play back in the day and even beat. I really have to think. Fable, I love. Fable, obviously, Peter Molyneux, infamous, overpromises, kind of a liar, has gotten into some really shitty, you know, exploitative tech in recent years, has ripped people off, you know, all sorts of things. But Fable, for what it was trying to do, is really cool. You know, like playing through a couple of years, how your character visually changes, how reactive the world is for the time. Honestly think Fable is great. Now, the expansion content, the Lost Chapter stuff, is hard to say. I do want to play through this version though. I do have it, but I think, or I might have got rid of it, I'm not sure. But I've never played through this version proper. But just, for the era, it is a really cool take on kind of making a living, breathing world RPG. It is really funny though, because I remember in my original playthrough, I did the full evil playthrough, got to the ending, and then through side content, managed to become known as a savior. I like went completely the opposite way. Also really goofy. But yeah, it'll be fun checking out, like revisiting the game and specifically checking out the Lost Chapters content. Oh, these I'm curious about. The Xbox. This is, you know, the first Far Cry is janky. I don't think it's really well regarded at this point. It's more its ambition than its execution. I'm really curious about these weird like Ubisoft takes on Far Cry 1, including like this, which is a exclusive like sequel. And yeah, they're only on Xbox. Oh, Feeding Frenzy. Classic Xbox Live arcade title. Didn't realize it was on original Xbox. I know this on 360. Didn't know this was on original Xbox. But there are so many games in this style. You know, flat screen. You're a little fish. You eat smaller fish, and then you grow bigger. And then you're able to eat bigger fish as well. Very addictive gameplay. It'd be fun to try. Again, if there is a way to get a hold of Xbox Live arcade games and play them on original hardware, it'd be fun to check this one out. Okay, what's this one? This is Flight Academy. Let me see if I can find footage of this one. Because I don't know this one. Okay, this is a full-on flight sim, from the looks of it. Oh, this would be very hard to play. I love this is called gameplay. There we go. God, this doesn't look good for original Xbox, I'm going to say. Some of these Japanese exclusive Xbox games feel like they could have come out on PlayStation 2. Well, for gameplay footage, I don't know if this guy even takes off. Nope. Sorry about that. Yeah, not sure that one's going to get ranked. Sorry, folks. Alright, yeah. This is a big one. I've not really played any of the Forza Motorsport games. I got into the series with Forza Horizon. Forza Horizon 1 is still the best one in the series. I feel like the further they've gotten away from that game, the worse the series has gotten. Like, they might be fun multiplayer fuck around games, but man, the campaign of Forza Motorsport 1, they have never gotten even close to, unfortunately. But, you know, I want to get into more SimCady stuff. Like, I loved and played so much Gran Turismo 2 as a kid, even though I was bad at it. And I want to get into doing Gran Turismo 3 and 4 at some point with the racing wheels. But it'll be great to check out Forza Motorsport in comparison. Don't think there's much more to say than that. Yes, Full Spectrum Warrior games. I played some of these as a kid, actually. I had one of my sister's exes had an original Xbox, and I remember playing this. These actually did come out on PlayStation 2. Though when we did the PlayStation 2 tier list, I put these down as don't play on PlayStation 2. I remember them being pretty rough, the PlayStation 2 versions. But these are interesting because they are like turn-based, tactical, like modern like shooters. They are cool games though. Like, kind of think like what XCOM 2013 is, Enemy Unknown, but you know, with just one squad kind of thing. It's like a 4-player squad. You can send a couple of them off on their own or make them work in units with formations and stuff. Cool games. Furious Carding, haha, this one actually got looked at on Bad Game Hall of Fame's Cursed Kart Racing series, and despite reviewing pretty poorly, I remember Cassie and Sharky liking this one decent enough. It seems like it's very single player focused, like it's got a very full career, and it is a more teen take, like gritty take on kart racing and stuff, but it actually did seem really cool. It's one I am looking forward to digging into. Yes, Fusion Frenzy. Right, Fusion Frenzy 2 is on 360. This is a weird party game. We'll have to check it out on Pitiful Party Games. I think it's something where Microsoft marketed it as like being this big deal, and I think when people go back to it, they don't really like it. That'll be funny to check out. Now, this one is interesting. I definitely want to get some footage of this. So, the original developer, or like the main creative lead of Tomb Raider 1, left Core Design. Let me get the footage up here from Camp Xbox. And this was like a long in development action, like a true, when I say action adventure, you know, I'm talking about a traditional style adventure game taken into like what Lara Croft and other action games were doing to the genre. And I think this game has a bit of a cult classic design, but I understand that it is... Yeah, let's get past this history stuff. We'll just get into the gameplay. But you could see some of that kind of angular design influence. But it does seem a bit janky to play. Like, it's not as tight as Tomb Raider. But I hear some people do really like this game. But you could see that Tomb Raider influence. But like, yeah, Tomb Raider turned into kind of like a pirate epic. Just what, you know, it's not really a lot of boat action, my understanding of it is. But, you know, having a more contemporary open map. And, you know, like dialogue, talking to cutscenes in town, and like villagers in towns and things like that. It's weird. It feels like it's not like a graphical showcase, but there is like a lot of technical showcase stuff going on. Like very big levels, the kind of procedural animation stuff. the physicsy, the animation stuff. I am curious about this one, but I hear this is a bit of a flawed game. But it'll be fun to check out in the future. Ah, yes. We did look at this at the Bad Game Hall of Fame. This is a weird one. This is a take on paintball game. Paintball games actually were very big in the Xbox era, which we'll see in a bit. But this one, this is like built in the Counter-Strike engine, or it's like trying to look like it's in the Counter-Strike engine, but it's like a near future take on competitive paintball, but very Counter-Strike. I'm not sure how much of this game you can really play outside of online, but it'll be a fun one to look at. But we did look at this in our paintball stream. I don't remember what the name of it is, but you can find it on the Bad Game Hall of Fame YouTube channel. Grabbed by the ghoulies. So yeah, this is a game that is just a running dick joke. Dick and balls joke. It is weird. It is a beat-em-up game with kind of a horrendous looking art style. It is strange. Hang on a second, I want to... This music got suddenly too loud. There we go. I think that's a bit better. But yeah, this is, like I mentioned, Rare, once they got purchased by Xbox, had a very strange output. And to the point where this became a running gag in some of their later games to joke about as like a mistake. But it is a beat 'em up that uses the old the gimmicky right stick control. It's the one where you move with the the left stick, and then you do directional attacks by flicking or holding the right stick in directions. But it has a weird kind of Saturday morning cartoon vibe, which really wasn't gelling with what Xbox was doing at the time. It feels like a GameCube game that got cancelled and revived on Xbox. A lot of the Nintendo era Rare humor's there, a lot of weird self-references as well. Like, you can find boxes for like a Killer Instinct and Banjo-Tooie 3 and stuff like that. Also has weird sections, like there's bits where you walk through corridors and it goes to first person view, and then a statue will scare you and you have to do a quick time event to not get... It's a strange game, but it'll be a weird one to look at for sure, but just odd. Like, who's it for? And yeah, speaking of this was it there, the Greg Hastings. These games were big on the Xbox Live crowd, my understanding. I think I just have the cover for one. Some of these did come out on PlayStation 2, but the Xbox versions are the main ones. Group S Challenge. There were a lot of games that were trying to chase Gran Turismo success at this time. And I think...
Hello and welcome to Camp X.
Sorry. I think this is... Oh. Whoops. Sorry. I looked this up in the wrong tab. Sorry. I've a lot of windows I'm managing so that we have music. Here we go. But I think this is technically tied into another Capcom Simcade game. But yes, this is Capcom's attempt to make a competitor to Gran Turismo. Very forgotten. Visually pretty good, I'll say, from what I remember. I think I have watched this video actually a while ago. But it's definitely, like, the frame rate's great, but there are definitely better looking SimK games on Xbox. Like, I think the car models look good. I think the environments do not, though. Oh, yep, there's their Patreons. Yeah, let's get more gameplay footage here. But yeah, I'd have to rewatch this video again to see if it's a game I want to cover. But it is fascinating going back to this era where, you know, because games like this weren't as expensive and time consuming as they are to make now, just like look at how long it takes for Gran Turismo games to come out. That a lot of studios were trying to do Gran Turismo competitors. Technically, oh, I always forget the cel-shaded SimK game that Capcom made that has terrible handling is that Konami made one of these at the time. Sega was still doing the Sega GT games for a while, which will come up on this. But yeah, you could see all the fit-ins. I don't think this has a lot of content though, which might be the problem. Like, compared to even Gran Turismo 3, it's lacking quite a lot in the cars. And yeah, some of the graphics are good. Some, like this car model, doesn't look very good though. I don't know, it's mixed look on it. But I'll rewatch that video. Gunmetal. Yeah, you know what? We might end up doing the GameCube stuff another time. God, Camp Xbox loves to title their videos, "Is this game a hidden gem?" At least they don't claim it's a hidden gem all the time. Okay, well, it's a laugh track there. Oh, this, you know what? This reminds me of, was it Warhawk? Definitely, like, visually not amazing, though. I think the main thing is just some of the, like, shaders they're doing. It does look kind of cool, though. And yeah, it does seem to have, like, a story mode as well. But yeah, this is funny how much this reminds me of, like, Warhawk and Starhawk, which are Sony takes on this kind of thing. Does seem kind of cool, but yeah, it visually a little mixed, but it does, the frame rate is kind of maybe the main thing with this one. But yeah, it might not actually have Xbox Live support, which is strange because it looks like a game that would. Also, I want to remember quickly. Oh right, yeah, this is that weird PlayStation 1 turn-based, like, survival horror RPG. Gun Griffin. You'll see a lot of these mech games on Xbox. I feel like the original Xbox Japanese games that people are really fond of are these mech ones. Like some of the FromSoft games. Yep, this is very mech style. I'd definitely be curious about these. Yeah. I feel like you have to know a lot about the genre though to like look at the footage and get a different thing. But I like a cockpit view. It's not quite as cockpity as I'd like. But yeah, curious one again. Okay, this. I love she's doing the fucking show my ass and tits at the same time pose. Gotta love it. Gun. Valkyrie Xbox. Butt shots the game. It's like Metroid, but not. Sega after Dreamcast is what the evil fungi says. But let's look at this footage here. Wow, runs really well. Okay, this looks kind of cool. Granted, I don't think saying Metroid is accurate, because this seems to be a... Yeah, this is a stage-based video game. But yeah, I kind of love a lot of the Xbox exclusive output by Sega at this time. They were doing such interesting stuff on the Xbox. Fun fact, by the way, at some point, the Xbox was going to support Dreamcast games. I don't know why that never ended up happening, but it kind of makes sense when you look at how many Dreamcast exclusive sequels it got. Yeah, no, this game seems kind of cool. I'm loving the weird movement. But yeah, I don't know if Metroid is a comparison I would use. Doesn't seem very Metroid at all. But yeah, no, that's one I definitely want to play. That looks really cool. Aha! Half-Life. So, the reason I'm putting this on the tier list here, obviously, there's not much reason to play this version. But to be honest, it is amazing that this game runs on original Xbox. It does not run good. I have seen real hardware footage where some parts of this run at single frame. But it is fascinating because it's the only console version we had until the orange box, and there are a lot of changes they did to the game for this version. It's also an interesting way to see older versions, like before. Half-Life 2 has actually been updated a lot over the years. For example, shotgun troops were not in the original release, and you can see that in this. This version doesn't have the shotgun troops. But I really want to see this version at some point. It will likely be a play elsewhere, depending on how bad the performance is overall. But I really want to check this out. This is such a fun curio. Okay. The big ones. We got it, right? Halo. Combat Evolved. You know. You can't think of original Xbox without thinking about Halo. Regardless of what, what current Microsoft and Halo is at this point. This is such an amazing game. What it did for first-person shooters, the scale of it. It's something, I've got a future Bad Game Hall of Fame Patreon poll themed around like Halo killers and Halo clones. There are so few games that even got close to managing what Halo did in terms of making like sandbox level design. In terms of, like big arenas, the vehicle stuff, just how good the gunplay feels, the multiplayer. This is masterpiece. There's no ifs and buts about it. There are some levels that do drag. The library is a level that could have been cut in half, maybe even a third. And some of the later parts of the game where they reuse levels isn't great, but I think they do more interesting stuff than the library does, which is very copy-paste. Like Assault on the Control Room, you do at least go through different routes through existing areas, and the revisit to the Pillar of Autumn, honestly, is kind of cool. But the gunplay in this the weapons set, just the scale of things, like how alive the enemies feel, things like that. It's such a cool game, and it still holds up to play. I would like to do original Xbox playthroughs of this and Halo 2 though. But you know, we'll get to those. But especially also, I have real fondness for custom edition on PC. Some of the cool stuff that people were doing for that. Really funny as well, because I remember the official website being like, oh yeah, this thing isn't for single player mods, and people were able to do massive campaign mods that Bungie end up showcasing themselves, even though they were like, yeah, no, that's not, this mod can't do that. And jokes on them, it could. And of course, Halo 2. Now, this will seem like a hot take for some people, right? If I was judging this on its campaign alone, this would not be in the same tier as Halo 1. Halo 2, in some regards, the campaign is a huge step up, right? In other regards, it is a massive step down. There are some real bad campaign levels in this game compared to the first game. Honestly, as cool as being able to play as the Arbiter is, his levels are not very fun. I feel like those are the weak levels of this game. And whenever I do replay Halo 2, they're the levels I'm sometimes like, I might just skip these. I'm honestly not really a fan of dual wielding in the Halo series. Like, the specific way they handle it. I know it was, like, impressive and cool for the time. But the way it nerfed guns and made most weapons that you would use solo worse really bothers me. But it is still a great campaign. Obviously, it's unfinished is the big issue. That the campaign was meant to kind of end in Halo 2 originally. It's good that we got Halo 3, but you can really see, like, they bit off more than they could chew. Especially the Arbiter stuff. Like, if it was a game where you just played as Master Chief, it probably would have been a tighter campaign. But that's not the only aspect of Halo 2. Halo 2 is also its multiplayer, its online matchmaking, and how much that revolutionized video games. Not even fucking first-person shooters. Video games. Like, matchmaking didn't exist before Halo 2. Just what that brought in for gaming. And yeah, Halo 2 multiplayer, still really fun. You know, I haven't done it in a while, but, you know, just loading up the Master Chief collection and just going into random matches and stuff. Still really fun. The maps, they are definitely smaller than the Halo 1 maps, like, because they, you know, were going for the online, they had to scale stuff down a bit to make it work over Xbox Live, but there were still some great maps in this, doing downloadable map content as well. So, even though I personally rank the campaign lower, right? You know, as a full package, it still has to be considered a masterpiece, right? I wouldn't feel great putting it anywhere lower because of what its multiplayer is. Also, you know, but there are some issues with the campaign. You know, how fucked up the what's the hardest difficulty called? I always forget. Legendary. Legendary is pretty fucked up in Halo 2. But there are again some great levels. It's also a more linear game. You don't really get the sandboxy kind of combat arenas as much as you did in Halo 1. They brought that back more in Halo 3, I feel. But still, yeah. And again, for what it was doing on the hardware as well. Like, there aren't many... Xbox could do amazing stuff. There wasn't much hardware that was even close to what Halo 1 and 2 were doing. So there you go. Alright. Oh, what is this one? I will have to look this one up. Even though I do want to try and get through these quicker. I do want to... Huh. Wow, the cover art I'm looking at is very different. Also, apparently a new game in this series just got announced. That's funny. Okay. Let's get some footage up of this one. What is this game? Oh, it's a little rough looking, I'm going to say. Oh, wow. Is it like a take on Diablo, but vampire hunting in modern world? Yeah, character stats. It doesn't look amazing, though. Oh, look at this little kid. But yeah, funny enough, some of the covers don't have this lady on it. I guess that's regional. Oh, of course, sewer level. Wouldn't be a real video game if you didn't have a sewer level. Come on now. Yeah, I looking at this, I get the feeling the main draw might be multiplayer. Oh, look, I love the fucking hunter.org, the website, giving you the info. I'd like to know more about this. I'll do some more research on this. Like I said, not all the games I'm showing today are going to be playthroughs I'll do. But this is piquing my interest. Though it does seem a bit janky looking. So, let's go on. Yeah. Funny enough, this is an Xbox exclusive, but I think sequels of this game came out on PlayStation 2. You know, we'll skip this one for now. Not sure how much there is to say. Okay. Innocent Tears, or is it Innocent Tears? Another one of these weird Japanese Xbox games. Oh. Sorry, clicked the wrong thing. Okay. Is this a lot of visual novel stuff going on? Also, whoa, beach episode. Mate, your capture software showing. Okay, looks like a visual novel, but no, there is gameplay. Wow, this is rough looking for an Xbox game. Look at this. What is this? There are Dreamcast games that look better than this. So some sort of RPG. And it is a turn-based one. It's a grid-based RPG about angels, I guess. No. Like a lot, like the cutscenes are mostly like visual novel style. Yeah, not that surprised this has never been fan translated. Like this is a 20-minute gameplay demonstration, and 95% of it is the visual novel stuff. I do not see that being great, but who knows? Maybe the RPG mechanics save it. Yeah, sports games. We're not going to look at these too much unless they're interesting ones. Iron Phoenix from Sega. Okay. Good thumbnail on this video of a guy doing the splits. Like, yeah, I would have got up music of like, oh, classic relaxing Xbox music. Probably not going to find much of that. Oh, I kind of know this game. This is like a weird, like, fight. Yeah, this is mostly multiplayer. Yeah, this is a weird game. I think I watched a Camp Xbox video on this. This is a strange one. Like, it's... I feel like the modern contemporary is like For Honor is kind of like a good version of what this game was going for. But like a more arcadey combat, like you were seeing juggles there. You also get like fodder enemies as well. This is a weird game from my understanding, but it would be fun to look at this one. And I wonder... I want to check again. Yeah. It'd be fun to see if you could play this online as well. But yeah, it shows you how interesting and out there a lot of the Sega output was at the time. Ah, this is a big one, I believe. I always hear this name. I don't know much about it. Also, wow, I'm getting hungry. Okay, yeah, we'll look at Camp Xbox again, who streamed this. I might actually not finish this tier list today. Right, this is BioWare. I think this is one that people kind of want to come back, actually. But, like, I think this would have been in the Knights of the... Yeah, this is, like, Knights of the Old Republic engine. But instead, it's, you know, like, Asian fantasy. But, oh, it even has, like, a more real-time combat system. Okay, this is definitely one I would want to play. Definitely running a little rough. But, you know, decent looking. And I've played a lot of... Well, we'll get to it. This is going to be a fun one, though. Yeah, I can see why people have fondness for that one. Ah, here we go. Something I can tier. Jet Set Radio Future. This is a game that I am shocked more people don't talk about. Jet Set Radio, the original Dreamcast one, also known as Jet Grind Radio in some regions, is quite famous. If you ever go back and play Jet Set Radio 1, the original, it is rough. It looks amazing. The style is amazing. But the actual gameplay, like how it controls, how it runs, because it runs at like a weird 20 FPS and it feels like it's running slow. The weird time-based objectives. You know, it does the timer thing. The timer holds it back. A lot of the movement feels really janky. Like, you don't snap onto rails. You hit some weird collision. It is a brutally hard game as well. Jet Set Radio Future fixes all the problems that original game had. It is more open. It's not open world, but all the maps are connected. So it feels open world. It's more collectathon in terms of like the graffiti. You don't have to do the analog inputs, which honestly would fail a lot of the time in the original. And having to deal with like, oh, do the graffiti while the camera's like zooming around and you have to watch out for the enemies. It's done a lot simpler where you just press R when you're near graffiti areas. Amazing soundtrack. Runs are so much better. Runs at 60 FPS. Not all the time, but it does target 60 FPS. It feels so much more responsive to play. It is a retelling of the same story, but the levels are also bigger. They're a lot more fun to navigate. When I got this, because I'd heard of Jet Set Radio, I'd watched someone play it as a kid, but when I got this, I was like, wow, this is phenomenal. This is one of my favorite Xbox games. It is so replayable. There are so many objectives, characters to play as. The style's great. It bums me out that Microsoft has not made this available on Xbox One and Series consoles. I know there's licensing stuff to do, but look, the original Jet Set Radio got a remaster that brought back all the soundtrack. There are original Xbox games with licensed music that got brought out to Xbox One. They can do it for this, surely. And they should. More people need to play this game. It is great. And it is good that you can play... It is basically fine on emulation on Zemu. It does have some issues, There is definitely some rendering stuff that's a little off, but it plays at mostly the right speed. And people have also figured out how to mod the game to get custom graffiti in, which is really funny. And you can also make custom graffiti as well. There's a pretty decent editor in it. Just awesome game. So stylish. And I can see why there are so many like spiritual successor kind of art style games built around it. But yeah, masterpiece tier. Kabuki Warriors! This is, believe it or not, the Bushido Blade developers. This is not a good game, but it is fun. It is a one-on-one fighting game built around Kabuki, but it is super janky, rough looking. We'll definitely play it on a fight night at the Bad Game Hall of Fame, and I'd like to see how much single-player content it truly has. It's a miracle this even got released internationally, but it's really funny. Also, you do suplexes, which is not very authentic Kabuki theater. But yeah, funny game. Kakuto Chojin. 2 weird fighting games back to back. This is Dream Factory. This is the Iragai's The Bouncer developers. This game famously got taken off shelves not long after it was released. There was a reoccurring pattern of Japanese developers, mostly Japanese developers. There's probably some non-Japanese developers that did this as well, but Japanese developers who would, in their soundtracks, would use samples of people reading the Quran, which is apparently using the Quran in non-religious aspects is apparently incredibly faux pas. To the point where a lot of games have had recalls and revisions. This game also sucks, by the way. It's not a good fighting game, and again, we'll have to look at it on the Bad Game Hall of Fame at some point. But it basically, after release, got cancelled. They didn't re-release it with it fixed. They just were like, fuck it. We're just going to stop selling it because of the issues they had. But, yeah, it'd be funny to look at some point. But it is not good. Okay. Let's have a quick look at this one. I might actually have to take a BRB and swap out food, so I might even have to swap to PNG. But I believe this seems to be a long-running series. Okay, let's see. Okay, so it has multiple character campaigns. Okay, we'll look at this footage. This is running on the Xbox 360, so it's not going to be perfect, but we'll make it work. But it seems that people really like this, so I believe the original series was more tactical. Okay, wow. Oh, this does look cool. So it's like a more realistic take on kind of the Muso style. Like you're commanding an army squad, and then you get into the conflicts. And you're like the champion of that conflict. Oh, this does seem cool. And yeah, multiple characters have different campaigns as well. And yeah, lost story. Fancy, I'll go to the pub. Yeah, no, this seems cool. Oh, sorry. That's YouTube freaking out there. Definitely a decent looking game as well for the era. Yeah, no, that looks cool. I don't know much about this series. This is apparently quite a departure for the series. But yeah. And, you know, I have to ask Sid. I'm curious if Sid knows this one. Because it seems Muso adjacent. And I like this the character design as well. But yeah, definitely that's one I would like to play. And yeah, and well, we won't look at that one, but it's another one. Oh, that's a bad looking cover. Let's see. Knights. Apprentice Xbox. Okay, we'll look at this footage here. Oh god, yeah, we're not gonna get to GameCube stuff. I'm looking. We are like halfway through. That's the thing, I could have just ranked the games that I knew where to place them. Oh, Microids. Okay, so this is actually got a different name. Okay, let's get proper into it. Microids does weird stuff from my understanding. Oh wow, that is a terrible looking double jump. Okay, so I guess it's their take on a Zelda, Legend of Zelda. Yeah. Yeah, because this kind of era where Zelda clones became less of a thing, it feels like. You wouldn't see them as often. The main studios kind of did their own thing. Though there are a couple. I'll have to look into that one. That's definitely a potential playthrough, though. Ah, Kung Fu Chaos. I'll get some footage of this one. I know a little bit about this one. I will not put the audio on for this one. So, this is the first original game. So, they were just add monsters at this point. But, this is who became Ninja Theory. They have an interesting origin. They started out as a spin-off, like a subsidiary studio of... Oh, I forgot the name of them. Who are they? The Star Fox developers. Argonaut. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Argonaut. And then they ended up they survived the Argonaut, like, going bankruptcy, closed it down thing. Also, yeah, Jesus Christ, these fucking designs. And this was their first original project. My understanding is that this is kind of a cheeky homage to, like, Hong Kong action flicks, and the idea is that you're being filmed, and the director is telling you stuff. The problem is, though, this game is, even by those standards, it is very racist. Like, its caricatures are pretty offensive. We will have to check it out, though. But yeah, like, my understanding is it's not just about fighting. Like, you want to build up stars, I think. And it's also got, like, a bit of, like, Power Stone influence as well. Yeah, see, this is very Power Stone. He's, like, moving levels with obstacles. So we'll have to check it out. But this is always... Like, yeah, you want to see where fucking Ninja Theory started? Here you go. Oh, yes. This game is apparently not very good, this Land of the Dead game. Let's get some footage up quick. Road to Fiddler's Green. Yeah, best worst game ever. This game is supposed to be really stupid. The main thing I remember is, like, the commentary by the guy we talked about. I was sure real spooked. But yeah, this game's supposed to be real bad. Looks rough as well. Like, the fact this is an Xbox exclusive, looking like this. This will probably be on the Bad Game Hall of Fame, though. Also, I love you could tell this is the era of, oh, we should make our crosshair look like Halo. But yeah, definitely looks... Shooting does not look good. That'll be a fun one to check out someday. Okay, golf. Yeah, we'll skip golf stuff. Oh, this one is interesting. Loons. I always think of the cover art for this one. It's so... It is an interesting cover. But I don't think it really gives across what this game actually is. This is a fighting game. Oh, it has a look at that. It has a fucking Star Wars title scroll. But yeah, see, you look at that cover and you think it was going to go for like a gritty look. And then you actually get into the gameplay. I don't think this game is well regarded. But again, looks very... Yeah, I get another Power Stone vibe. This reminds me as well... this is a game that I discovered is terrible. Looney Tunes Acme Arsenal. It's like they tried to make a Ratchet & Clank game. It's terrible. Also has a PlayStation 2 version where randomly it will like run at half frame rate when you boot it, and I haven't figured out why. But yeah, you look at this cover and you don't think it's gonna be what it is. False advertising. Oh, there we go. Ha, Mace Griffin Bounty Hunter. This is one I want to play through. It's definitely in the Halo clone bin. But this is one where I wouldn't recommend playing the PS2 version. It's very scaled down. But the gimmick with this game is that it is kind of like a Halo-style shooter, but it also has flying segments. And the fun thing is that you go from space stations, you walk into your ship, and you fly out, and it's all done seamlessly. There are still separate levels, but in terms of like going, like in those levels, you'll go between different space stations, and you'll do dogfighting combat, and you'll go into space stations and do shooting combat. Also, hilariously, Henry Rollins, for some reason, is the main voice actor. One of his early, like, weird acting roles. I know he'd done stuff in the 90s, but just the random stuff he would show up in sometimes. But I have kind of a soft spot for this game. It's not amazing. Also, your main assault rifle is a chain gun. It's ridiculous. Yeah, you know what? I think this is going to be a multi-parter. Aha, Mad Dash Racing. This is a weird one. I actually do have a copy of this. But we'll get some footage up. But yeah, this is kind of like a hybrid kart racer. I wouldn't call it a kart racing game. But it's definitely adjacent. Here we go. So yeah, so it's a on-foot racing game. Honestly, like a decent looking one as well. But you see, it is a kart racer adjacent, but yeah, it's got like platforming elements, a lot of really wild shortcuts if you're able to platform to them. But I think some people, you know, this is remembered fondly for some people. But I do randomly have a copy. It was in my announcement tweet for this. because it's just such a random game to have. It's funny enough that we were talking about it recently. Rayman Arena, though it's got a different name in some regions, is a take on this. I think this game is more well liked than that Rayman take on this. But you know, see, similar idea, like alternative paths that if you're skillful enough with the platforming, it's faster. Oh, there's even tricks. Wow, okay. And yeah, there are pickups, but I don't think there are, like, this game is that pickup heavy in the gameplay. Like, you get them, but I don't think you're doing, you know, like, attacks often. But I'm not entirely sure, but this is one I definitely want to play through just because it's so unique. Such a different one. Oh, what's this one? Let's see. Magatama. Let me see. Oh, Big Tell. I'm pretty sure looking at this, Big Tall Not Small is a Xbox challenge runner. He's must be trying to beat all the Xbox original games. Okay, let's get a bit further in. Come on now. Decent looking game visually. Reminds me of like some of the Japanese developed games you would see kind of later, where they go for the grittier art direction. Wow, that is a fucking Monster Hunter NPC right there. Okay, here we go. Some actual gameplay. Yeah, hack and slash. Runs really well. Looks visually really good. Seems to have its own gimmicks. Just with like that first person stuff we were seeing. I'll have to do some research on this one. Like, yeah, with all this first person third eye view. But yeah, I guess you fill this sword meter somehow. I'd be curious about this one. Again, be great if at some point we start to get localized. Oh, look at that. That's weird. It's weird slowdown that puts like TV static on it. This does, yeah, this is a weird one. This one looks cool though. Definitely gonna look at that one. Oh, now what's this? Let's see. I think we're gonna look at about like 10 more. We're almost halfway through. This is Magi Death Fight. Or Maggie Death Fight. Oh. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Thought I was in the search bar. Oh yeah, not a lot of footage of this one again. We're going to have to go for Big Tall Not Small. Look at their footage here. What is this? Again, another game that is... Why is this an Xbox exclusive? Again, looks like a... There's a lot of these games that are Japanese exclusive on Xbox that look like PlayStation 1 or Dreamcast games. And I mean, like, not late eras, but especially like the visual design on this one. So yeah, some sort of like action puzzle game. I was almost thinking Choo Choo Rockets, but this clearly is not like a Choo Choo Rockets. That is a weird one. Okay. Have to do more research. Magic the Gathering. Really? Okay. I know a little bit about Magic the Gathering as a card game. Never really played it though. Outside of my wheelhouse. Didn't know there were many video games based on it. So yeah. Is this... Oh. So it's real time. Weird. It's like a real time take because you're like summoning creatures like their cards. That's kind of fascinating. I wonder why this is Xbox exclusive though. It's not like... It's a very small scale game. Like the backgrounds, the character models, they're not really taking advantage of the hardware. I'd say. That's a strange one. That could come up as a playthrough. Ah, here we go. So I do wanted to rank these because Max Payne 1 and 2 came up in the PlayStation 2 tier list, right? And I argue that those PlayStation 2 versions are too compromised to play. You should, if you're going to play them, play the Xbox versions or PC. But I think the Xbox versions are good enough that they can rank on their own. And granted, in the full spreadsheet tier list, I do have rankings for them. But just for prosperity, we're going to put them here because they are on the Play Elsewhere tiers. So, Max Payne 1 is a really cool game. But I do think it does suffer from issues. Probably the best example, the dive is actually kind of useless. It more often than not will get you killed. And also, you know, I think like the game's presentation and story can end up goofier feeling than it's going for. That being said, I think it is a great game. It is still really cool. Also, the nightmare levels suck. Making them like weird puzzle platforming levels was a massive mistake. But the basic gameplay is still fun. Still some fun level design. Combat, though. Max Payne 2, the full Max Payne. Masterpiece. Amazing game. If you've never played it, if you don't feel like playing both of them, I still think you should play the first one, even with its issues. Max Payne 2 is so good. Like, and again, the Xbox versions managed to replicate the PC visuals pretty well. It is still... Max Payne 2 is still a bit of a downgrade. The main difference is the Max Payne character model is simpler geometry. Like, the face isn't as modeled. But aside from that, it's basically pretty close to the PC version. And yeah, they add a lot to the slowdown bullet time mechanic. Like, if you get a kill streak, you do the like instant reload. The dive is a lot better now because you could keep shooting when you land. You have more control on when you get up. You're not just like a sitting duck. The story, I think, is a lot easier to follow. The conspiracy stuff in Max Payne 1 gets a bit out there. All the Illuminati stuff that kind of comes out of nowhere in the late game. I think Max Payne 2 builds up to it more. And the characters are great, and seeing Max like lose it, things like that. Just a phenomenal game. I'm really curious what Remedy's doing about those new versions. I hope they mostly replicate the original gameplay and look. Honestly, because I'm really done with, you know, remakes that kind of just reinterpret games. Things like that, but we'll see. But yeah, phenomenal games. But yeah, don't play the PS2 versions outside of just seeing. It's amazing they even run on PlayStation 2, but man, you play Max Payne 1 and 2 on PlayStation 2, and there were like so many like rooms that used to have exist that are just missing, like little side rooms, bathrooms, or like benches and plots, like flower pots and things like that are just missing. And the frame rate is abysmal in both versions. They even managed to keep the physics engine in the second game, which is shocking. But again, it's just, you look at them side by side and it's just like, oh yeah, this room is supposed to have chairs in it and they're just all missing. Oh, yeah. We'll get some footage of this one. And then we'll look at one more game, I think. Maximum Chase. Oh, that's not how you spell chase. This game is kind of funny because it's got all like FMV. But I believe it is Japanese developed actually. But yeah, it's got all this really funny live action, but like over edited live action footage. But yeah, definitely again another not great looking original Xbox game. It's probably doing some, like the environment, draw distance feels pretty good. But this is pretty rough looking. Oh, yeah, that's how that collision should have handled. But yeah, again, surprisingly, quite a few of these Japanese developed takes on Driver. Also, yeah, you get like rail shooter sections as well. I know this is an amazing game, but it is a interesting one. So we'll definitely look at it. Short game as well, I think. I don't think it's super long either. But yeah, it's interesting where you could see these games that are doing technically impressive things for the hardware, but don't actually look that good. Like a lot of Japanese Xbox games will sometimes have this very flat look, where like they'll only do kind of, or like everything's a bit too clean. Like the cars look very clean compared to the world. But we definitely would look at that one at some point. Also, yeah, Mecha Soul. I hear these games are cool. I don't have enough to say, but you know, these are based on like strategy games on PC, but these are more real-time action ones. But I hear they're cool. Let me have a quick look. Okay, we'll do two more. Let's look up what this Men of Valor game is. Oh, god damn it. I keep thinking I'm in the search bar, and I'm not. Let's see. Let's go for this one. At least one review there that said great but hard. Oh wow, the low resolution on this. I don't know if this is accurate to the hardware though. Okay, let's get some footage going. Interesting aiming system though, that the gun doesn't stay like fixed in the middle. Oh, it does now. Why is this video loading poorly? Yeah, I haven't really heard about this one. That aiming system is different. It's like a take on like GoldenEye Perfect Dark aiming, but the gun moves like Okay, I guess you have a recharge in health. Oh, it's lean. It's like lean stuff it's supposed to be. But yeah, that'd be a World War II shooter. Well, I don't think it's World War II. I think it's Vietnam. but you know, an older shooter. And then yeah, we'll rank this one. So, Mercenaries Playground Destruction, cool ass game. This is one again. I don't think you should play the PS2 version. I didn't remember it until I re-looked at it. The PlayStation 2 version runs so bad. It is often hitting single-digit frame rate. I would be hard-pressed to say play the PS2 version. How the Xbox version runs and looks a lot better. It is a very ambitious game. The open map, where you, with this kind of like sandboxy missions and doing all the aerial strikes and things like that. I'm actually going to double check. I think I remember where I ranked this. But let's just confirm. Yep. Here we go. This is a great game. For sure. I feel very confident putting it there. It is... The 3 characters are fun. You know, it's... Where game... You know, the kind of Grand Theft Auto influenced games were going. This feels like more of a throwback to the older ones, but taken into 3D. With more of the choice. You know, you side with the different sides. Play them against each other. But just the... You know, you do the objectives, you rack up the money, and just all the fun tools, the aerial strikes, the resupplies, that kind of stuff. It is such a fun sandbox game. If anything, it'd be cool. I might have preferred a version of the game where it didn't have the bespoke missions. It was just closer to what Crackdown was, where the different marks were just on the map in set out scenarios and you had to find them. There is a little bit of that, but it's mostly bespoke missions as well. But yeah, I think this is a perfect placement for it. I need to give the second one a proper go. I remember trying it and finding that the way you would earn resources to do your supplies and aerial strikes was more restrictive, but I hadn't played enough to really say. I know some people who really like Mercenaries 2. And we'll also check out the PlayStation 2 version, because the PlayStation 2 game is completely different. It is it's basically a new game built in the Mercenaries 1 engine, and it has its own map and missions. It is fascinating. But yeah, let me look whereabouts we are. Okay, yeah, we're about halfway through. Also, why is this here? Weird. Okay. I think, because we've gone over 3 hours, this ended up taking a lot longer. Like I said, a part of me was just going to rank the games that I knew I could tier. The problem is I only had about 10 to 20 games per platform. So that would have been over and done with in like 30 minutes. And there are a lot of games I wanted to talk about. Games maybe I've played or seen a lot of that I haven't finished, that I don't feel confident enough ranking. And also just discovering the games by checking out the different footage. Things like that has been cool. But I overestimated how quickly I could get this done. So I think we're going to have to split this up. And then also the GameCube stuff is going to be its own tier. In my head, I thought I was going to be completely done. Might even play some of what I was going to plan, but here. I'm going to... Also, it's good as well because my my music, my PlayStation music video was about to finish. So, what we're going to do is we're about halfway through that, so we'll pick this up another time. I might honestly try and finish doing the Xbox stuff tomorrow. But and then I'll talk about it again, but yes. As I mentioned, my original Xbox currently doesn't work. I need to get it fixed. Hopefully I can get it fixed. We'll see. But if not, I need to buy one that I can get modded anyway. Whatever, it's a whole thing. As I mentioned, if you financially support me, that money will directly go to getting a soft modded Xbox and hard modded. I want to put like a bigger hard drive in, because the old hard drives tend to be wonky and they don't have a lot of storage space. But if you do support me, it will go into that. But I think tomorrow we'll try and go through the rest of the exclusives, rank the last of the games I have to rank, and then that also again gives you an idea of games that I would like to do full playthroughs of. But and then what will come after that is we will do GameCube. GameCube will be quicker. My understanding, let me look at the folder. Actually, maybe if I do, no, not that, that's the wrong button. Yes, the GameCube tier list is going to be a lot shorter. I have about 119 games to look at there. There aren't that many games, for example, that are multi-platform, where the PS2 version is not worth playing, but the GameCube version is. There's a couple, I do know some, but it'll mostly be exclusives. But that will lead into, I'm going to do a full playthrough of Super Mario Sunshine, one of the probably the most divisive mainline 3D Mario games. I have played a lot of it, but I've never fully beaten it, so I don't want to rank it. I want to come with it with fresh eyes, re-experience the game, fully beat it, and see how I feel about it. But yeah, so yeah, tentative. We'll see how stuff goes, but Thursday we'll continue doing the tier list for the Xbox games, go through the exclusives, finish that out, and then when I have time, we'll do the GameCube stuff, and that might be quick enough that I might get to Mario. We'll see on that, but that is the immediate future. And then at some point we'll play more Ridge Racer again as well. But the main thing is I wanted to get to Mario, and I wanted to do it for the summer, you know, like at least start the playthrough by July, August. So that's why I'm doing these tier lists now. But don't worry, we'll look at GameCube. Funny enough, here's the GameCube in this nifty carry case. I was going to talk about that hardware. We never got to it, so that'll be sometime probably next week. But thank you everyone who joined, who hung out. I really need to go sort out food. I did not realize how hungry I would be. But if you want to check out any old streams, you could go over to my YouTube channel at Johnny Baghead VODS. All my old streams are archived on there. Streams usually go up about 24 hours after a stream. I have some highlight videos over at my other channel at Johnny Baghead, and I do want to get some more videos out on there this year. And if you want stream updates, you can follow me at Blue Sky at Johnny Baghead. If that doesn't work for you, I do have a Twitter at Johnny Baghead. But if you want just general posting, those will be over at Blue Sky. If you just want going live posts, those are Twitter, but I post those on Blue Sky as well. And as always, I'm co-host with the Bad Game Hall of Fame. We put on shows every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, as well as our bonus Casual Monday show on Mondays. That is a US time zone stream, so if you can't make those European pals, I totally understand. You could also check out the VODs. But good time, and even when I'm not there, I'm handing out, and the show's great. Cassie and Sharky always put on amazing shows, so go check them out. But yeah, I'm going to wrap up, and I'm going to go heat up some food, because yeah, no, it's getting to me. I don't know what it is about streaming. I always feel incredibly, when I host a stream, I always get so hungry by the end of it. Maybe it's all the talking, I don't know. But yeah, this has been a great look at some really interesting original Xbox games, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of them, especially some of those Japanese only ones, some surprises in there. So you know what, I don't regret that we looked at every single one and looked at video, because there was some discovery there. Anyway, bye everyone, toodles. Ooh, ooh.